49ers football, live from Levi's Stadium, right now on the KPIX Sports Network.
The theme to begin 2018 for the 49ers is they have a quarterback. And tonight they meet a most familiar rival on a night when it's just good to see players back at the familiar 49er colors on the field at Levi's Stadium. Preseason begins. We are glad to be back with you, Tim Ryan, Ted Robinson. Tim, we've been doing this a long time. It's hard to think of another athlete that so grabbed not just his teammates, but the fan base the way Jimmy Garoppolo did last year.
Well, are you kidding me? And I'll say this, living with obviously my wife and my daughter, he has captured the hearts of the Bay Area and has captured the minds and the eyes of the football fans as well. Look, the run was outstanding, and it was obvious the level of play. He raised the level of play of everybody around him. The ball distribution was ridiculous. The decision-making, the accuracy, the leadership, all of those things that you saw in those 5 games last year, and then most importantly, the victories, the 5 wins. Now 8.5 more months to chew on the scheme, added weapons at running back, added weapons at wide receiver, a terrific game planner and play caller in the head coach Kyle Shanahan. You couple all those things together, I would expect it to continue for Jimmy Garoppolo.
And so here's the punctuation mark. In the 5 games Garoppolo played last year, the 49ers had 30 scoring possessions and 13 punts. Most dramatic measure of the improvement. So, Tim, tonight we understand frontline guys only get a cameo. Who do we really focus on tonight?
Well, my eyes are going to be on the offensive line and the right guard and Mike Person. He started 4 games for Indy last year. He started his career with the San Francisco 49ers, had started games with Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta. He'll be first up to see if he can get that job at right guard on an O-line that I think is going to be pretty good. Defensively, edge pressure is going to be much needed. I anticipate points being scored. They need people on defense to close the door, get after the quarterback late in games. Cassius Marsh, Pita Tamiopenu, Dakota Watson, all will have that opportunity, and all will get a big opportunity and a big slice of playing time tonight.
All right, joining us on the field as he does in every preseason, with us once again is Dennis O'Donnell. Dennis?
Yeah, thank you, Ted. Every general manager that we know likes to put his stamp on a team, right? Well, John Lynch has put a whole roll of stamps on this football team. Check it out. You remember last depth chart when Chip Kelly and Trent Baalke were in charge? 43 players were on that depth chart. Of those 43, only 8 remain. 35 are gone. And the current regime, they want to see more production out of some of those 8 holdovers, including 3 number 1s, and Jimmy Ward, Eric Armstead, and of course, Joshua Garnett at right guard. So I think the moral of the story is, you know, the general manager has plenty more stamps. Don't get too comfortable. And by the way, Ted, this is the first time since I've known Tim Ryan, when the broadcast began, that he didn't say, "I'm jacked out of my mind." Tim, what's up?
Well, I was going to change it up, Dennis. I'm pumped out of my brain. How's that?
I'll take it.
All right.
Good call, Dennis. Good call. All right, well, that is a great picture, I think, of where the 49ers are. And Tim, I've said this a lot during the offseason. What Kyle Shanahan achieved and John Lynch last year, to me, just take from 30,000 feet up. This team was 0-9.
Yeah,
and they didn't crumble.
And it's funny, 30,000 feet up on the way back from that Philadelphia game is when everything changed. The very next day, you got Jimmy Garoppolo in the door. Look,
but the fact that this team stayed together to win
right.
6 out of 7
stayed
finishes,
positive,
very
stayed
few
upbeat,
teams in the NFL have ever done that.
Stayed with the process. I think a big part of it was all the youth, the belief in the leadership in terms of the coaches and football management. And then you think of the 5 games lost by a total of 13 points that I know the players and coaches thought a few of those were very winnable.
Jason Garrett, 8th year. He is the 2nd winningest coach in the history of the Cowboys. 2nd highest win percentage, higher than Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, or Bill Parcells. That's an interesting fact.
Yeah, there's no rings, though, for JG.
And Jason Garrett made a bunch of changes. The Cowboys 9-7 last year, missed playoffs, 10 staff changes. Same coordinators, but 10 staff changes.
Yeah, and no Jason Witten on offense, no Des Bryant on offense.
So here we go with Bradley Pinion to kick off for the 49ers to begin the preseason with new kickoff rules that will not be in effect if that continues. Kick going out the back of the end zone. And those are things that we will try to educate everybody, including ourselves, on tonight as we begin the preseason with Dak Prescott coming out to begin his 3rd season as the Cowboys quarterback.
And you look at last year without his elite running back, Ezekiel, it wasn't the same as it was the year before in terms of the firepower for that team offensively. They got a lot of stuff out of Rod Smith, but Ezekiel Elliott is the guy that is going to make this all go. And again, no Witten, no Dez Bryant. Dak's going to need some help from that O-line in that running game.
No Zeke Elliott to start. It is Rod Smith in the backfield off play action. And Prescott buys some time and then dumps it underneath to Blake Jarwin, tight end. And we'll look at our Levi's starting lineups. And there's the 49ers defense, at least starting that way tonight. A couple of people not there. Eric Armstead is out. Of course, you know Richard Sherman is out. A little different, Ted. It's not Ronnie Blair. It's Julian Taylor, the 7th rounder, out there starting at the strong side defensive end for the 49ers. Now Rod Smith gets the carry, and Rod Smith busts through, and Colbert has to save. And there's a good run for Rod Smith, and a reason why Adrian Colbert flashed so well as he cleaned up what could have been a... Rod Smith is a beast, 6'3", 235 pounds, and really a good job there by Taylor, who was able to get the push. I was just talking about the rookie. He was able to get push right there and squeeze it out. Reuben Foster looks like he overruns it, and then the other linebackers just got tripped up in the wash. That's a good, big running back. 43-yard line now. And that's Tavon Austin, a new Cowboy that you see the motion man. Well, it's just a decoy there as Rod Smith gets the carry. And that's something to set up quickly for Dallas. And you just touched on it, Tim. A lot of familiar faces gone on the field. Dez Bryant gone. Jason Witten gone. Their second tight end, James Hanna, gone. Bryce Butler, gone. Ryan Switzer was a backup receiver for him, gone. Yeah, and their defense, I know they are anticipating the defense being pretty good, but they still got this guy, and they've got that offensive line and that bell cow back. They will be in a lot of games. There's a wraparound, but Prescott is finished off. So the 49ers wrap him and finish, which will be something to watch, and that is a man to watch, 99, who gained so much respect the way he played last season. And this is the weak side rush. Here you got DeForest, and here you got Solomon Thomas, and they're both going to be here on the sack on Dak Prescott. There's the arm over, quick move to the outside gap by DeForest Buckner, and then Solomon Thomas, he just keeps working and comes in and helps clean it up for DeForest Buckner. And that's DeForest Buckner against a rookie. The Cowboys have a great offensive line. Most know that, but they do have a rookie starting at left guard, Connor Williams. Third down. Prescott's got big room up the middle, and he's got the first down inside the 49ers 45. I think DeForest Buckner was anticipating Dakota Watson coming underneath on a pass rush game, and he didn't get the support. Watch right here. You're going to see Defo run upfield. He thinks Dakota Watson is going to come underneath. He's getting in that gap. Dakota Watson never comes underneath. Dak Prescott sees it, off to the races with all that real estate in front of him. Dakota has got to be the wrap guy and come around, so he is there in that running lane. And so Prescott's run gets Dallas a new set of downs. At the 49ers 44. And Rod Smith gets the carry here. The Cowboys also let go their backup running back, Alfred Morris, the veteran. They let him go in the offseason. They've given the second running back job to this man. Well, again, this guy's a beast, and 4 touchdowns and over 4 yards a carry last year. Support's got to be faster from the safeties. I thought Sheldon Day did a nice job of forcing that thing to cut back. It's designed to cut back to the free defender a little bit late. Tavon Austin, 49er fans know him well from his years with the Rams. He's slot to the right. And Prescott will come underneath to Smith. And a good tackle, good close there by the 49ers to keep him short of the first down. Jaquiski Tartt. Reuben Foster combined. Yeah, just not a lot of pressure here. Gonna check, leak out, throw the check down, 4-man rush. Split that zone apart. Reuben Foster is able to make a good tackle, as you said, to keep it third down. Be nice to get a stop right here, get off the field. So short yardage, 49ers 5 across the front. And Prescott's going to give it to Rod Smith, and Rod Smith is going to get enough. And that's the challenge when you play the Cowboys 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen have been to at least 4 Pro Bowls.
Yeah, and here they run right at the rookie, Julian Taylor, 7th rounder out of Temple. And what they want Julian to do is use his hands better and be able to disengage and get off blocks. Here he's in great position, and then he tries to peek outside, never sheds the blocker. Running back's able to get past the line to gain.
Prescott now with the gun run handoff, and Smith pushes to the 30.
Well, there's a battle out there on the corner between Terrence Williams and Jimmy Ward. These running plays, they're just going at it.
There's Jimmy, and if you're a 49er fan, you have to get used to that. New number for Jimmy Ward this year.
He gave Richard Sherman his 25, and Jimmy's been nicked through camp with just a couple of little small bumps and bruises, but getting an opportunity to line out there and play some corner here. His versatility is a premium for this defense.
Prescott on second, going deep. And there's a touchdown. Michael Gallup, a rookie, outmaneuvered down the far sideline to catch a touchdown.
I don't know if it was the sun. Jimmy Ward just lost him. He looked like he was in good position. Now there's got to be pressure, and there is no pressure, so this thing comes out on time. 4-man rush. DAC looks left, then looks right, and Jimmy Ward just lost the feeling of where he was. He was in tight coverage, and you can see it all the way to right here. He never flips his head, flips it late, and then doesn't realize that the ball is right there. I don't think he could see it in the sun. Bottom line, though, you got to stay in that guy's hip pocket. You can't give up that ground.
Michael Gallup did, and that's a guy the Cowboys need. He's 3rd-round draft pick out of Colorado State. So he comes out of the Mountain West Conference, but a terrific receiver, had 100 catches there last year. Dan Bailey, one of the best kickers in the league, puts the point through, so Prescott did a lot of it on the ground, including a scramble himself, and then a rookie catching a touchdown pass in his first game.
The issues for the 49ers on defense, and its playmakers on the edge. And Dakota Watson does not wrap underneath like he should, get in the running lane. Dak Prescott's able to pick up a big first down with his legs. That's a very simple error to fix. And then Jimmy Ward just appeared to lose the football in contact with wide receiver when he was in good position. Robert Saleh will not be happy, the defensive coordinator, Ted, how that first drive went.
Brent Maher is kicking off here for the Cowboys. Victor Bolden deep for the 49ers, and again the ball beyond him for the touchback. So 2 kickoffs yet and no action. But here comes Jimmy Garoppolo, and it has carried through the offseason and even into training camp where fans have been able to come in to watch practices. There is no one more watched than Jimmy.
His leadership, I mean, you can see it out there. And I'll tell you one area, we all know he can throw that underneath ball with quick accuracy in the release. That deep ball has gotten much better.
And here's Jerick McKinnon touching the ball. Another major free agent acquisition by the 49ers as part of our Levi starting lineup for the 49ers offense. McKinnon coming in to team with Breida in what we expect to be the backfield. Juszczyk again is back.
Yeah, and then you look at the offensive line. I mean, all first-round picks with the exception of Richburg, who was a second, and then, that's wrong, it's Person at right guard. But there's a lot of talent up front on that offensive line.
That's a key point, Tim, as McKinnon gets the ball outside right, and the Cowboy defense is there, and that's a player they're going to count on. 54, Jalen Smith. He's the player that the Cowboys drafted after a devastating knee injury in a college bowl game. And now they need him. He has to replace Anthony Hitchens, who went to free agency. Yeah,
and look, Dallas feels like they're going to be pretty good on the defensive side of the ball with Rod Marinelli as the coordinator. Chris Richard comes in to coach the guys back in the secondary. It's a heck of a play by the backer sitting right in the hole.
So the 49ers have a long third, and Garoppolo comes to Richie James, who holds the ball and has a first down. And there's a early run for a 7th-round draft pick out of Middle Tennessee, Richie James.
Well, he'll raise some eyebrows now. It's going to end up being man coverage with a crossing route. Jimmy Garoppolo is just going to stay with it. He wants to go deep. There's nothing there. And then he's able to see Richie James all the way coming from the other side of the field. Ball behind him. That's a nice catch by Richie James.
Nice catch and hold with Anthony Brown on the cover for Dallas. Quick out here is high through Goodwin's hands. Goodwin covered by Chidobe Awuzie, who's a product of Tim Ryan's Football Academy.
Yes, he and my son grew up playing football together. He went to my high school. Cheeto's a very good player. High pick last year. And he's lucky he got that hitch route from Marquise right there, because Cheeto can run, no question about it, but there are not a lot of guys that can run like number 11 of the 49ers.
He played alongside Akello Witherspoon of the 49ers. They were teammates at Colorado. There's a high throw again to the opposite sideline for Goodwin. So 3rd and 10. And let's go back, Tim, to that offensive line, because the 49ers from the last game of last season in this stadium, center, right guard, and right tackle are different.
That's right, and the center is a huge, huge upgrade. And no indictment on Kilgore, who's a very good player, but this is one of the better ones in the league right there in Weston Richburg. And only in year number 5, and then the first-round pick at right tackle will be here for a while.
Garoppolo stands in as he was going to get hit and finds Goodwin. Another terrific trait that we saw from Garoppolo. He didn't buckle in the face of the heat.
Yeah, and there's a 14.5 sack monster coming right at him, and DeMarcus Lawrence, who's going to come underneath this little pass rush game. Jimmy Garoppolo sees it late, never takes his eyes off of his targets down the field, unloads it accurately to Goodwin, who's running that little hookup route, and then I love the way Garoppolo dips out, fades away from those hits.
So 2 for 2 on thirds for the 49ers on this opening drive, and now they're going to be in 2nd and long. McKinnon swallowed up there. Cowboys defense all over that. That started with Tyrone Crawford.
Where do they get these Boise State defensive linemen? Marcus Lawrence, this time it's Tyrone Crawford over here. He just comes inside of Garrett Selleck. Look, tight ends in this offense, trying to get the ball to the outside to the perimeter. Tight ends have got to be able to block. Not a good job there by Garrett Selleck, but he looked like maybe there was a mental error by somebody. See the way he was looking around like, and that didn't feel right.
So a -6 on the first down run. And now Garoppolo down the middle for Kittle, just beyond. Kittle was in the middle of 3 defenders.
Looks like he came down and maybe stretched that shoulder a little bit. It's going to be cover 2. You're going to see the middle linebacker run with him. 2 deep safeties. Maybe that's just man coverage, 2 deep, 2 safeties free over the top, just outside of the hand, over the hand of George Kittle. Looked like he got a fingertip on it.
Taking Kittle right over to take a look at that right shoulder. So a 3rd and long here for Garoppolo. 4 wides go out. Looking around the underneath throw. Will get some yardage, but well short on the throw to McKinnon. So 2 first downs on 3rd down conversions, but the 3rd one too long to convert, and now the 49ers will punt.
Well, what's gonna bother Coach Shanahan are the negative plays in the run game, for sure. Dallas said they felt pretty good about their defense after only a couple of weeks of training camp. They thought their defense, now it's early, it's game 1 of the preseason, but really anticipate this defense surprising some folks this year.
All right, here's one of the things to watch if you're a serious fan tonight. The outside men up the top, it's Aaron Burbridge. At the bottom, it's Raheem Mostert. As the first punt cover men, Lance Lenoir lets that punt go, and Mostert almost smothered it at the 1-yard line. But the punt is still in the game. That hasn't been eliminated, so covering punts is significant. That's going to be competition for training camp jobs. Mike for us tonight.
Hey, there we go. Let's go, babe. Missed that blank stare that you give. Let's go, Joe. All right, baby, let's go. Hey, you're not going to get a big speech from me today, but our job entails physicality and fitness. Focus on those 2 things today, all right?
Man, what a career he's had,
yes.
and arguably one of the best ever to wear the 49er uniform out there at left tackle.
and easily the senior player on this team. Dallas has its second quarterback on, Cooper Rush, and he little bootleg throw underneath to Terrence Williams, who's one of the veteran Cowboy receivers still here. Cooper Rush, second year, Central Michigan. And it's odd, the guy that was the backup
now
Romo's last year is now the quarterback coach. Kellen Moore, another Boise
Stater.
That was one of the many staff changes. Wade Wilson had been the quarterback coach for 13 years for the Cowboys. And at the end of last season, Jason Garrett made some significant staff changes. There's a good play by Solomon Thomas to get in and smother that run.
You know, sometimes when you're out there on the edge and Solomon's playing the Leo position, which is the weak side defensive end, you just don't get blocked. And there's nobody. That's like a nice freebie for him out there on the edge. Tackle blocks down, guard pulls around. The running back sitting right there waiting for you. He's really gotten a lot better, Ted, Solomon Thomas, in training camp rushing the passer. You see there are only 3 sacks. Number 3 overall pick last year out of Stanford. That's an area they want to improve, and I promise you it has.
So a long third now facing the Cowboys. And Rush feels the heat and throws it away before he goes down in the arms of Dakota Watson.
Well, they're running the pass rush games, and one thing I think when you don't have an elite rusher, you run games, you run twist. You send guys first, and then you wrap guys underneath. Cassius Marsh comes in to wrap, and then you got Dakota Watson finishing it off. But I'm telling you again, Sheldon Day, the guy that just shows up and make plays, is able to get there and start that thing. Is that Solomon Thomas that's down out there?
The one thing that nobody wants to see in these games is first man down, face down right now is Solomon Thomas. We're in an era in football where there's a lot of legislation to try to take injury out of the game. You can't legislate fluke injuries.
Absolutely. This is just buzzard's luck, and I hope Solomon's going to be all right. But you can see what happens here as he's coming underneath. Here's Sheldon Day back here, 97. They both lay out. Watch the heel come up of Sheldon Day right there and hit Solomon right in the front of the face mask. And you're going to see a better look of it right here. There's the right heel is going to come up, bang, right there on the mask, right on the grill of Solly. And just hope there wasn't a cleat and an eyeball, and hopefully he's going to be okay.
Yep, everybody on hand. They'll take Solomon right off to the 49er locker room.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? As soon as Kyle Shanahan saw that on the sideline, I think he pulled Reuben Foster off too. I mean, the worst thing you want in a preseason game is your studs getting hurt, obviously.
Robert Saleh, their defensive coordinator, and he'll have to, we already got a few people down tonight, so he'll be mixing and matching. Chris Jones punts it away for Dallas. And Bolden for the 49ers hit right there. Good punt cover. And for the Cowboys, that is Kayvon Frazier, third-year safety, did his job in punt cover. And so, as is the custom, both teams starting quarterback goes one series, and now C.J. Beathard on for the 49ers.
A lot of playing time last year, obviously, when he replaced Hoyer in Washington. You see his numbers there. I tell you, I talked to C.J. He's had a very nice camp. The things that he needs to do is just speed up his clock, that internal clock in the process, and he's going to be fine.
Cole Hicatini in the game's tight end, Sacramento native. He's tight to the right. Matt Breida, the running back. And Breida punches ahead for about 3.
Looked like there was a pretty good hold of the outside on that double team, and Matt Breida just cut it back instantly. You see Pace Murphy and Gary Gilliam. They look like they got a pretty good double team, and look, there was some room off the edge there. Breida chose just to hit it up inside for 3 yards.
Well, the one starting offensive lineman still out there, actually 2. Mike Person, the veteran, brought in, is still at right guard, but McGlinchey is still at right tackle, and Kyle Shanahan said he would likely do that to get McGlinchey just some more reps. Beathard being chased and miss on the deep throw to the near side to Aldrick Robinson.
That's a tough play, and Rod Marinelli, in terms of how they defended it, he got after it, bringing pressure off the edge and playing man coverage down the field. The play was almost busted right away just with the defense that Rod Marinelli decided to call. There's Rod there, long-time NFL defensive line coach, head coach for the Lions, coordinator for the Cowboys, really a great Marine and a great man.
You said they brought Richard in from Seattle. All of his Pete Carroll lineage as Dallas gets to the line and jumps, but looks like a little 49er move.
Ball start. Offense. Number 76. 5-yard penalty. It's third down.
So that's Gary Gilliam. Gilliam was with the team last year. He is really the backup tackle.
Yeah, well, he's the swing tackle. He's the backup at right or left, and you saw him leaning back right there. And boy, he counted on last year. Remember that Philadelphia game when he went in there and counted on to play right tackle and hurt his knee, unfortunately, right away.
Stafford standing in, and his throw.
That ball looked like it got tipped.
Yeah, but didn't come near. Dante Pettis running his route off the right side, so that's a lost series for the 49ers, and we do have a player down, and that's Breida. So Breida standing in here in the pass protection.
That's a good job by Breida, chopping down a defensive lineman, and that's what you do when the guy is big, defensive lineman. You're a smaller back, you chop him down, don't take him up top.
That was Antoine Woods coming in on the rush, so Breida went down and is still down, so we'll break in the first quarter at Levi's. This first quarter, and it's another shot to the head here that Breida takes.
Yeah, Antoine Woods, 312 pounds, and you're going to see his left thigh pad right to the back of the helmet of Matt Breida. And everybody always thinks it's the helmet-to-helmet collisions. When your head collides with a hip or a thigh pad, something in the lower body, that big area of the body's not moving. Let's hope Breida's going to be okay.
So the 49ers' second kicker in camp is Jeff Locke, who's been in the league for a few years, left-footed punter. Max Lenoir got by the first man and falls forward, gets about 4 yards on the return. So in this first quarter, the 49ers have lost George Kittle with the shoulder, and Solomon Thomas and Matt Breida both with some head situation. Well, Levi Stadium has already hosted so many, none more significant than the Super Bowl, but so many significant events. And now the College Football National Championship game comes to Levi Stadium January 7th. It'll be an entire weekend.
Can't wait for that whole week.
The entire weekend will be just to be like a Super Bowl village here. Visit BayArea2019.com for more information. There's a handoff to Smith. Be something if one of the PAC schools, well, the first national championship game played on the West Coast like that, if one of the PAC schools could
if one
bring a fan base,
one PAC school could bring a fan base. Hey, nice play there by the seventh rounder out of Temple. Been talking about him. He started the game tonight, Julian Taylor. He's out there for Eric Armstead, and this cat plays old school. Flat back, gets after it, tough as nails. They just want him to use those hands a little bit more and get off blocks. He's got a chance.
The high snap, nice recovery by Cooper Rush, and then a low throw that's caught. Well, that's an outstanding play that Terrence Williams ends up going low to catch that ball, and what could have been a big minus play is actually a gain.
Now here's the snap, way over his head. Rush is enough to get his hand on it, deflected. You know what you hate, and then make something out of nothing. Good rush by Cassius Marsh. Some guys just have that luck. They get their good rush on broken plays, as there was one there by the quarterback in the errant snap from the center.
So 3rd and 4 now for Dallas. And Rush throws a little slant that's caught for the first down. Jimmy Ward on the cover wrestles down Alan Hearns, who was a free agent signing. Had a good run in Jacksonville.
And just one-on-one isolated with Jimmy Ward. There's good pressure inside. Again, Sheldon Day showing up, rushing that B gap, getting on the quarterback, rushing up that gap in between the center and the guard. Jimmy in pretty good position. Just not enough underneath in terms of, and one thing about Jimmy now, doesn't have those long arms and that long body to play from trail position to get the knockdowns.
Rod Smith gets the handoff. And here's an interesting moment for 49er fans. He ran that play right behind 2 former 49er draft picks right now. Joe Looney is playing center, for Dallas. And Marcus Martin was picked up by the Cowboys, and he's at right guard.
Yep, there's Looney and Marcus, number 60 out there.
And the left tackle, instead of Tyron Smith, is Cameron Fleming, who started in the Super Bowl for New England. They didn't bring him back. Of course, they traded for Trent Brown from the 49ers. Fleming picked up by the Cowboys. And behind Tyron Smith. Rush with a throw, broken up nicely, and there's Reuben Foster, who Robert Saleh, the D coordinator, said to us that Reuben might get more run than other frontline guys tonight, maybe next week, because he will miss the first 2 games of the regular season.
That's right, with his suspension, and here he's just going to do a good job getting on his horse, catching up and trying to find where Tavon Austin is. He actually gets a hand on him, just kind of feel where he is, but the whole trick is he's looking towards the football, big bat down with the left hand. That's a great play by Reuben. Again, 0 pressure up front. The defensive line stuck at the line of scrimmage with the exception of Watson.
So 3rd down, DJ Reed, another rookie draft pick, is playing at slot. Now he's rushing off the slot, blitzing the quarterback. Rush throws it, and it's incomplete. So the 49ers use that slot man as the blitzer there, DJ Reed.
DJ Reed's got a chance to make this team, Ted. He is not very tall, but he is long and he is strong. In terms of long arms, he will wallop you, and they're going to use him coming off the corner. He's in for K'Wan Williams at the nickel corner position. K'Wan out with an ankle injury. He's been running with the 2s. DJ Reed, 5th round pick. He's got a real opportunity, not just on special teams, but to play some defense.
That was a good pickup by Rod Smith on that, but still, it is a punt for Dallas. Maher kicks it away. And this is Dante Pettis. So that's going to be a role we watch during preseason. Dante Pettis, of course, returned more punts for touchdowns than any player in NCAA history.
20 yards per punt return last year. 3 consecutive games with a punt return for a touchdown. And I'll tell you this, Ted, you've been out to practice. He is so much more than a returner. You talk about going and attacking the football to catch it with extended arms, and I mean, you talk full stride cutter. Most guys are going to cut on somebody. They're chopping their feet to get those cuts. That guy's in full stride, in and out of his breaks. It's very rare.
Most punt returns last year were handled by Trent Taylor, who's not playing tonight. He's recovering. He's been in practice, but coming back from back surgery. As Raheem Mostert gets a carry and a good run. First good run for the 49ers tonight, out across the 30.
And he'll get obviously first nod over Joe Williams, but they're in a battle for a roster spot for sure. He's able to get the edge in the run game, and then we know Mostert's really, really fast. He's only got 7 pro carries in his NFL career. He's in a roster battle.
Well, Prescott and Dallas came out, took their first possession, went down the field to score. Garoppolo a couple of first downs on his one drive. Cowboys.
ALS, but his memory will never be forgotten here at Levi Stadium, especially this season. The players will wear decals 87 on the back of their helmets starting from game 1, and it will get better from that. The 49ers on a nationally televised game will unveil a statue of Joe Montana throwing to Dwight Clark. Clark will be 11 feet off the ground from his stretched hands to his toes. That's where he made the catch. And Joe Montana, of course, will be 23 feet from Dwight Clark. That was the exact distance when they connected for the famous catch. Also, bunting will be around the stadium. Number 87 will not be forgotten, guys.
All right, Dennis Beathard on a rollout there, being chased again. Taco Charlton has been playing him and on pursuit now twice.
That gives me chicken skin thinking about all that with Dwight.
Well, there was
those statues. Man.
We'll talk more about that. Al Guido, the president of the 49ers, will join us in the 4th quarter tonight. But it was incredibly special last week, the service at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. And then 2 nights ago here in the stadium at the museum, about 100 people came, including a lot of Dwight's former teammates, on 8/7, which is what the 49ers, and I know Kelly wants to make sure that Dwight is honored every year on August 7th. A very special night here 2 nights ago, and Jerry Rice modeled the fur coat that Dwight wore in the Super Bowl parade that Dwight's brother had saved through all the years. The receiver fell there coming off the line. That's Robinson.
Yeah, Aldrick Robinson, and that was the look. C.J. Beathard saw it right away, and looked like that ball was on point, that throw, but Aldrick had already stepped as he's trying to get off his press. Or trying, excuse me, on his stem to try to get that inside leverage. He just tripped and fell down.
Now we have another player down, Gary Gilliam. So again, a few too many trips onto the field for the medical team here in the first half. Breida, we're told, is questionable, which I assume means we won't see him again in a preseason game with a shoulder.
And don't underestimate the importance of Gary Gilliam and being that swing tackle, the first guy in at either tackle spot, right or left, if there's an injury. Again, he's played a lot in Seattle, came here last year and on a short-term deal, and when he was plugged in Philadelphia, got hurt right away. Here he is. He's chopping out there.
Chopping there against Coney Ely, who's a good free agent pickup, Cowboys, former Carolina Panther.
Yep.
And well, since we're talking offensive line, Tim, another thing to watch as the preseason games go along. Brandon Fusco, who played right guard here last year, did not come back. That's where that opening is. But Zane Beadles was the utility guy. He's not back. So right now it's Eric Magnuson snapping. Who snaps the ball throughout these games? Because you have to have at least two active, if not three, that can snap the ball.
Yeah, well, Magnuson can snap, and he's done a lot of that. Person can snap. He was a starting center in Atlanta a few years ago for Kyle Shanahan. I know they're cross-training Shelton out of Washington, the rookie, to play play center, which he played at Washington. You could say the same for Tyler Knott, who's also a college free agent at a center. So they got plenty of guys that can hike the ball.
And that will be part of how
hike. Did you like that hike?
Hike the ball, I know.
Feeling a little nostalgic.
So Gilliam is off to the locker room.
And Allen Knott, excuse me, I think I said Tyler.
Allen. So here's Beathard in his second series, 3rd down and 10. Nothing since CJ's been on the field. Not a lot has worked for the 49ers. Getting stuck in these long thirds, and Beathard's throw is caught. There's a terrific catch by a guy who won a job in camp last year, and he really blossomed the last 5 games, Kendrick Bourne.
Well, there's not many in this scheme on these skinny posts right down the field that can get it and turn up field with that body lean in this receiver core like Kendrick Bourne can. I think he is the best, really, in this whole receiving core, getting upfield right after he catches the football with some explosion. That was a good throw from Beathard.
So that puts the ball just shy of midfield for the 49ers. Mostert, the running back, with Breida out of the game, and he's banged up for a loss. But Tim, that receiving core, Garcon didn't play the second half of last year, so Pierre, he's the veteran, the most accomplished guy here. He didn't play with Garoppolo. But 3 guys in the last 5 games of the year. Trent Taylor had 17 catches. George Kittle had 15 for 15 yards a catch, and Bourne had 17-yard average. It's a deep receiving core.
It's very deep. 8 guys that can play in the NFL, and then Jimmy had a pretty good rapport with that guy right there too, and Marquise Goodwin. I can't wait to watch Pierre Garcon in this offense in his 11th year. He is perfect for Jimmy Garoppolo in the style of play.
And Dante Pettis stopped and turned his route out, and Beathard threw the ball further down the side.
That's just miscommunication in terms of quarterback receiver Ted not being on the same page. I don't know the exact call, but I know this offense, and a lot of offenses have choice routes built into them. And the receiver and the quarterback the receiver, will run a route and make his choice based on the leverage of the corner. And that time the corner's inside. I think he thought his choice was to hit a hard breaking deep out, and Beathard didn't see it the same way. So that's what training camp's for on those choice routes.
Well, Beathard's getting his run here on 3rd and 11. A lot of 3rd and double digits. And he arms one up the field. That is going to be an out-of-bounds catch by Dallas. We also have a flag down on the opposite side near the Dallas sideline. And the Cowboy who made the diving try, that's Leighton Vander Esch, their 1st-round draft pick. He's up now. Vander Esch out of Boise State.
Pass is thrown. Holding. Defense. Number 30. 5-yard penalty. Automatic 1st down.
So a bailout there for the 49ers. Anthony Brown of the Cowboys called for holding away from the play against Richie James.
Yeah.
But Tim, this receiver core, so let's finish that. this is going to be something that last year the 49ers were clear. They had to overhaul roster. And Kyle Shanahan has been open saying, you know, we had guys last year that really weren't NFL players in camp. This year, they think at least at receiver, they're going to cut people that will be picked up by other teams.
No, I don't think there's any question. And you go and look at last year, and then with the additions this year, in particular, Pettis.
First charge, timeout, Dallas.
I mean, there's 8 receivers, I think, and I've seen them all around the NFL. I think there's 8 guys on this roster right now that can play NFL football at wideout.
Second quarter of this preseason opener, C.J. Beathard. Most 49er fans know about his whirlwind weekend. And there's Joe Williams getting his first run tonight of what begins, at least in terms of the game action, I have to believe a make or break preseason for the 4th-round pick last year.
Yeah, and I think he's in a battle with Raheem Mostert. Mostert is very good on special teams and also brings a lot of return skills. Now, to Joe's credit, he looks a lot better and more NFL ready in terms of his body and his development this year. He's almost that kind of guy, though, Ted, watching him in practice. He maybe needs some success to create that spark of urgency. You'd like to see that fire burn a little bit brighter.
He empties out to the very top, and Beathard is throwing a deep ball down the far side, and up the adjustment. That is caught. Dante Pettis.
That's Aldrick.
That's Aldrick Robinson. Yes, Robinson with the catch.
Well, good time by the offensive line, and that's just a heck of a catch by Aldrick Robinson. 4-man rush, nobody there. C.J. Beathard can sit back there, hitch, get to that back step, lays it in perfectly in front of the corner to the inside and just in front of the safety coming over the top. Nice play by Aldrick Robinson.
And there's a tip ball that's intercepted by Dallas. Interception by Joe Thomas. Former Green Bay linebacker, now with the Cowboys. So after the big play to Robinson into the red zone, the 49ers turn it over.
Well, turnovers, you don't like them anywhere on the field, but when you're down in scoring position, brutal. And it's the uncovered blitzer coming off the edge. C.J. Beathard just trying to unload it, timed perfectly.
Kayvon Frazier up there.
By Kayvon Frazier of the Dallas Cowboys.
His blitz tipped the ball and made that catchable for Thomas.
And that's that zone defense that Rod Marinelli loves to play. And those tip balls up in the air, zone defenders sitting around to go get it.
Cooper Rush back out for Dallas. And this handoff goes to Bo Scarborough, who's a rookie running back. I had no idea until I learned about him this week that any Alabama player was allowed to be drafted in the 7th round.
How about what
I thought
happened?
they were all drafted in the first 2 rounds, weren't they?
No kidding. Well, he runs into a wall right here of 49er defenders, and Julian Taylor started it with an inside gap charge, and then all the other defenders flowed over to the top perfectly. Julian Taylor, a pretty big opportunity here in this game tonight out there for Eric Armstead. I think he's played every play for the 49ers on defense.
Foster, by the way, is out of the game now. That underneath throw is caught. And DJ Jones from the defensive line makes the tackle on that. Jamaz Olawale, fullback who has spent his career in Oakland.
Watch Julian Taylor win right here, Ted. Watch him win with a little arm over, push. Look at those strong hands. Push, arm over, gets held. It was actually a pretty smart hold by the Cowboy offensive lineman, or that quarterback's about to get tattooed. Made a nice showing for himself.
Offense, number 79, 10-yard penalty, replay second down.
Well, we see it. I feel like we're seeing examples of this more often, Tim, as Julian Taylor barely played in college.
9 college starts.
He didn't play football at all until he was a senior in high school.
2 season-ending injuries.
And he's, obviously the physical skills are there. He's getting a shot.
And I think in some of the limited games, I think it was Florida Atlantic was the game I turned on. He was everywhere. And I think they were undefeated at the time. He was unstoppable.
So 2nd and 21 now for Dallas. They'll try to run some with Scarborough. He gets a few. That's DJ Jones again in on that tackle.
Tell you, DJ Jones is an intriguing guy in terms of his body composition, short, quick, and thick, and unbelievably strong in the weight room, and has done a real good job of developing his body here in the offseason. I think that's where the 49ers are underrated in terms of that depth on the defensive line. This guy right here, Sheldon Day, is going to make some plays for the 49ers.
Spread wide, trying to get some pressure. Screen is set up to Olawale. And nice extension, nice spread on the outside. Elijah Lee got out there. Won a job here last year, and his good pursuit, coupling with DJ Reed, the rookie.
Elijah's had a nice camp in talking to the coaches. They like what he brings. You talked about him coming here last year and has an opportunity to make a staple on this roster as a backup and a guy that can play special teams. You start doing the numbers game at linebacker, and they could keep one extra, Ted, with Reuben having that 2-game suspension to start the year.
Brett Maher kicks it away. This is Richie James now back on the punt return, but lets the ball bounce, and it's touchdown just shy of the 30-yard line. 49er ball when we come back to Levi's Stadium.
Hey, did you gel your hair before you came out here? Straight up Bradley Cooper right now. Just raw, handsome, rugged. Unbelievable.
That's Joe.
I've heard all those things like 100 times from him.
Oh, is that right?
It's not Bradley Cooper.
Coleman Shelton hadn't.
That was 27 of the kicking team. That 5-yard penalty was added to the end of the play.
Tell you who he's really rubbed. Excuse me, he's really rubbed off on the guy right next to him too, Laken Tomlinson. Yeah. He is so much better than he was when he first got here last year, former first-round pick, and Joe's been really, really good for him. I promise you, Joe's still the fastest offensive lineman in pro football in year number 12.
How about McGlinchey there?
McGlinchey loves him.
Well, that's what you're going to say.
Yeah.
That's the wingman now.
And every bit of 6'8" as you see McGlinchey standing there next to Joe.
Mostert gets the toss, and the Cowboys string that run play out well. So the 49ers, McKinnon played the first series. That's it. Breida has gone out with an injury, head or shoulder. And so now it's going to be Mostert and Joe Williams that will be getting most of the running back play.
Yeah, and they got Jeremy McNichols,
right,
who's a guy who's in the mix for sure, and is going to get an opportunity. You've got Wilson out in North Texas is going to get an opportunity. But I really believe the real roster spot, if indeed they only keep 3 tailbacks, is going to be between Mostert and Joe Williams.
Juszczyk, of course, will also count as a quote-unquote running back. That's a pass caught by Ross Dwelly.
Ross Dwelly
from University of San Diego, USD Torero.
Just went and pitched a tent right in the middle of the 2 linebackers in zone defense. C.J. Beathard got it to him right on time. Getting this 3rd and manageable.
Mostert, the back, will flare out. And Beathard tries to throw to him, and that gets tipped again. So pressure getting too close, pass tipped, and 49ers go 3 and out.
He was waiting for that crossing route to develop in front of him, and it looked like he wanted Richie James, who you're going to see from the right of your screen, flash across. And that ball just gets batted as it's on its way to the rookie wide receiver.
Bradley Pinion feels like a veteran now, 4th year for Pinion. Lance Lenoir is the deep man running up the field. That short kick, and the 49ers do cover it nicely. And that was Pita Tauamolipenu.
Yeah, like a rocket.
The first guy down. He's not one of the outside men, but he flew down there and made the first hit.
That was like a rocket because that had no hang time. Hopefully going to give a lot of knowledge, and I know it's already started, Akello Witherspoon, and I've talked to Akello about it. He said it's unbelievable, and Richard's been a big asset. Look, Richard Sherman is a great football player, and I do anticipate that he's ready to go, and the deal made so much sense for the 49ers and for him. His loyalty is ridiculous, and he's out on the field, Ted, and if he's not out there actually going through the drills, if he's limited somewhat physically, he's coaching everybody on concepts and understanding the concepts and where this defense is going to have some weaknesses versus certain things. He is going to be a huge shot in the arm for that secondary, and I think for the whole D.
Something that started back in mini camps and OTAs before he was cleared to be on the field, as that throw from Cooper Rush intended for Michael Gallup. Gallup caught the touchdown pass early in the game.
That's a bad throw because Greg Maben was beat.
That's Greg Maben, who played here for the 49ers down the stretch last year.
Yeah, that's just off coverage, and that's not a good jam, trying to get your hands on somebody and reroute them inside of 5 yards and lose all that distance. Now he does a good job of staying with it and catching up and knocking that football out. To his credit, not a great throw in terms of timing by the quarterback.
Rush there delivers. That's a first down catch, and that's Tavon Austin, who was let go by the Rams. And this guy
was a top 10 pick by the Rams.
He was the 8th player picked in the draft. Shockingly, last year he was used much more as a runner by the Rams. It's hard. I was just looking at his numbers to see his career reception average. This is a guy supposed to be a game breaker. 8.7.
Yeah, it's because they're all smoke screens and behind the line of scrimmage, little gadget plays.
It's complete to Austin again. So the Cowboys referenced that they lost some signature receivers. Now Cole Beasley's not playing tonight for them. Alan Hearns played the first series. That's it. They hope he'll be front, but they need people like this.
Absolutely.
Like a rookie Gallup, like Tavon Austin, to contribute.
Yeah, no question. And the 49ers are going to need some corners to contribute in terms of who the third and fourth corner are going to be on this defense. And Tyvis Powell, who's had a good camp and knows this scheme over there as the single receiver side, he's got to be better than that.
He's on the bottom. Number 30 is Tyvis Powell. He's another guy that came in near the end of last year. And breaking tackle, Scarborough's got the sideline. And there's Powell finally banging him out of bounds at the 20.
Well, you talk about tackling, obviously early in the preseason, and there's a missed tackle right there by, I think that was Corey Toomer, who had him in the backfield. And you got to be able to make that tackle and get him down. And look, the 49ers, they teach arm tackles. They don't want the head across the body, and it's a very effective way of tackling, despite what the old traditionalists may say. But you've got to wrap and you got to roll and grab some cloth, and that time Corey Toomer just lost his grip.
With 3 receivers there to the top and the outside throw. 49ers string that out, and DJ Reed does a good job to run the receiver, Lance Lenoir, out of bounds.
And I told you, long and strong. Look at those arms on DJ Reed, that 5th round pick. And I think that guy's got some toughness to him. Playing at K-State, he started as a walk-on at Fresno and then did the JUCO route, and then ends up at K-State, and now he's playing in pro football.
And he's going to play some free safeties, you see right now. That's one of the few players Robert Saleh said might play 2 positions tonight. And he's also a return man. A very good return career at K-State.
And he's intense and will thump you.
Scarborough, the single back for Dallas on 2nd down. To the end zone, and that one, Powell does a good job of sticking with Mikhail McKay.
Well, a couple good play there by 2 guys. Julian Taylor with very good push once again right there, and then Corey Toomer comes off the edge, and they force that ball out early. When balls come out early from the quarterback, typically they're going to sail over the guy's head. They got to be happy with 77, the rookie Julian Taylor, how he's played in this football game tonight.
So 3rd down for Dallas. They need 9. Jarwin, the tight end, slides. Wally is the back to the left who's going to go out in a pattern. And they clear it out, and the tight end has open space. And Jarwin gets all the way down inside the 5. They're going to mark him around the 1. Blake Jarwin.
And nobody picked him up as the blitz beater. Nobody covered him. I think Elijah Lee was supposed to get out here. You're going to see a linebacker come late. There's just nobody out there. I think Elijah Lee, the first one out there, I think was just late getting out as they were trying to disguise that blitz pressure, zone pressure, as Robert Saleh was bringing that 5th guy, and they got bit.
So the Cowboys 1st and goal at the 1.
Love having these situations, though, Ted, to work on.
And looking for the fade to the back corner, way over the head of Gallup with DJ Reed on the cover.
I mean, look, you don't want them down near your end zone any time when you're playing defense, but when you consider the circumstances, preseason, week number 1, these guys have had 11 or 12 practices and 11 or 12 walkthroughs. But if you can get these situations, goal line defense, the coaches love this opportunity to evaluate big situational football.
All right, you see the lineup, 3 tight ends, Dallas, 1 receiver top, Scarborough the running back. And Scarborough trying to bang his way in that middle. And here comes the rugby scrum push. And let's see where it ends up. It'll be blown dead short of the goal line.
I think one point of emphasis is, and I know it's down here near the goal line, but those whistles have got to come out quicker this year in terms of forward progress. Being ruled stop. Good job by Corey Toomer. Look, he slips right in. He takes up the offensive lineman, changes the path of the back, and there he is, that rookie Julian Taylor, and all the other 49ers keeping him short.
I know they want tackling rugby style, but the rugby scrum pushing stuff, to me, that's not football.
That's when you blow the whistle and forward progress stopped.
So 3rd down, about a foot. Scarborough again, and he is stopped short, but he lunges forward and gets in. So good effort by Bo Scarborough to break the plane and get the Cowboys' 2nd touchdown.
That was all about second effort, because the guy we've been talking about, the defensive lineman throughout this first half, Julian Taylor, watch him get great push, takes out 2 guys into the backfield, pushes them into the running back, and then Scarborough goes over the top. I mean, look at all that humanity getting pushed into the running back.
Well, Tim, you've hit it. 77 Taylor has been involved in a lot.
No doubt. And he can get push. He can play the run. Again, I think the biggest thing they want him to improve on is just that hand usage, because they know how heavy-handed he is and how strong he is. Use those strong hands to disengage and get offensive linemen off you.
Brett Mars kicking the extra point. 2nd kicker in camp for the Cowboys, but no competition there. Dan Bailey, one of the better kickers in pro football. And so the Cowboys have a 14-0 first half lead, as they have put together 2 drives and finished them for Jason Garrett.
Now, boys, I've known Jason for so long. Remember coming out, his dad was a longtime scout of the Dallas Cowboys. He's a few years ahead of me, but I've just always appreciated him, both as a player and a coordinator and a coach. I mean, it's got to be hard being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and all the things that come with it.
Said it's his 8th year, and no rings. You said that, but the winning percentage, 56%. And when you see it's better than some high-profile coaches.
And he's a Cowboy. I mean, that guy is through and through Dallas Cowboys.
Well, you put together for Garrett and the Cowboys, they just have this brilliant offensive line, which they first used with Latavius Murray. They ran him incredibly heavily in 2014, and then Elliott 2 years ago, a ton of carries. Elliott only played 10 games last year.
It was not Latavius, DeMarco Murray.
Or DeMarco Murray, excuse me, DeMarco Murray, right. But they've had 2,000 rush yards back-to-back years, the Cowboys. You got to believe that's the way they're going to go this year.
You got the horses in front of the wagon.
Oh, and there's good cover again. Victor Bolden can't turn the corner. And that's Jordan Lewis, who's a 2nd-year cornerback on the special teams cover. Here's our Northern California Honda dealers drive of the game.
Yeah, and that's the tackle that's got to be made right there by Corey Toomer at the line of scrimmage. Just got him down into the red zone. And a busted play on a blitz. They mixed up, did not get out there and cover the H-back. And there's the touchdown. Pretty good defensive line play, though. A couple plays on that goal line.
Play action, Beathard steps up. And then another tip ball. Beathard has had how many? 3, 4 passes in this first half that have been tipped.
Well, he's been under duress. He's been under pressure. We talked about the 49ers and the desire for edge pressure, and that being something they're going to have. The Cowboys have had fairly consistent pressure throughout this game, and most of it has come off the edges.
So Taco Charlton in there again.
I was surprised he wasn't like really good last year. You know, a lot of people thought that guy was going to take the league by storm.
Flag there on a jump, so free play. And again, another ball that got tipped. Wow.
I love the way he didn't
just can't
quit.
get a clean throw off.
I love the way Taco Charlton didn't quit right there. Offsides, knew it was going to be a free play, even though I know the point of emphasis, Ted.
Offside. Defense. Number 97. 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
They're going to try to have that quicker whistle. There it is right there. But watch, he never quits and does not give up on a free play. He knows right now a free play, so he stays with it, gets his hands on the ball. But I know a point of emphasis this year by the officials is to be quicker on that whistle when there's an offsides by the defense.
Well, if you're Dallas, you already have DeMarcus Lawrence. You have Charlton. Randy Gregory is back in pads for the Cowboys, practiced this week. Coming off a 1-year suspension. There's a jump inside. That's Jihad Ward. Came over from Oakland in a trade. And the guy that, remember, he was so disruptive here last year in the regular season game, Tim, when the Cowboys came here, David Irving.
Yeah.
Was so disruptive. He's out right now, substance abuse.
Encroachment. Defense. Number 51. 5-yard penalty. Results in a first down.
Encroachment is unlike offsides when they call it on defense and you're in the neutral zone. Encroachment is when it's the same thing except you touch an offensive player. Then it becomes encroachment. Well, I'll tell you, David Irving, you talk about the style of play and what that guy brings as an inside rusher. Hope he gets it right because he is a huge part of that rotation up front. Cowboys are deep with rushers.
Play action out of the eye, and the throw out here to fullback. That's Malcolm Johnson, second fullback in camp for the 49ers.
A pretty decent pickup there in pass pro by Joe Williams. One thing about Joe is he didn't have a lot of catches at Utah, and they are going to count on him as a third down guy. And here, a little play action. He's going to step up, and he's going to help out Darrell Williams, the left tackle, so that C.J. Beathard can get the football out.
Joe Williams had a terrific senior year at Utah.
I remember the game here. He put that team on his back and carried him to victory.
Bowl game here, over 200 yards. And reminder of the story that we told last year in training camp, that Kyle Shanahan became enamored with Joe Williams. There was an issue. Joe had missed part of his senior year at Utah, left the team for a while. His position coach, a name that is in 49er lore, Dennis Erickson.
Yep.
And Kyle Shanahan called Dennis Erickson and got a personal explanation from Erickson and a recommendation on why Joe Williams had missed time. And he was welcomed back to the Utah team in time for that bowl game when he had a great, on this field, a great run.
Oh, yeah.
And that helps cement the decision to draft him.
Oh, I like that there.
That's first down carry. So third down and short, the 49ers run the ball.
I like it. Give Joe Williams an opportunity to push forward, put his head down, and pick up a couple of yards. I think that's just the thing with him is just going to take some confidence, because I'm telling you, and they're all the running backs for the 49ers now, Ted, they could be a track team. They got to be the fastest group in the NFL when they're all in the 4.3s.
CJ steps up, fires middle. That ball, well, that should have been caught by Pettis. There's a flag down on the near side of the field where Kendrick Bourne was running a route. Ron Torbert is the referee tonight. And it's a penalty against the 49ers.
Holding. Offense. Number 49. 10-yard penalty. First down.
It's called against Dwelly, tight end.
Look, Joe Williams, and just to finish up on him, you watch him in practice, and I know Coach Shanahan has been pretty impressed with how he came back and what he's doing in training camp, but he gets in the open field, and they're all fast. He's like a different animal. When he's out there running, just the explosion in that gait he's got. All the running backs for the 49ers have the ability to go goal line to goal line for a house call. A lot of high-octane speed.
So 1st and 20, this will be the play that gets us to and beyond the 2-minute warning. And Beathard throws, and that's held over the middle by Hicatini. Nice catch by Cole Hicatini for a big gain. That'll be almost 19 yards. So Hicatini Pleasant Grove High School in Elk Grove, City College of San Francisco. So a lot of local roots. Excellent receiver. It's the 49ers in position. It's a 2-minute warning. Back at Levi Stadium, Ted Robinson, Tim Ryan, Dennis O'Donnell. We have just a tick under 2 minutes to go in the half. Nice catch by a guy we know he's a good receiver, Cole Hicatini.
Yeah, Louisville. Gosh, I think he only started 13 games there and had 11 touchdowns. Did play a lot, and he's done better blocking. I think one thing, if you're going to be in this scheme as a tight end, and Kyle Shanahan will know how to use you, but John Embry, the tight end coach, he knows these guys have got to be able to set the edge in the run game.
Quick ball gets into Richie James's hands, and James runs it inside the 40 of Dallas. Kind of player that has seen more time in the NFL. This speed, get him out in space.
Talked about Hicatini, in the tight ends having to block. Perfect example of it right here in the passing game. Gets enough on the corner, pushes him out, and Richie James, this 7th-round pick, Ted, out of Middle Tennessee, he did everything. I mean, that guy ran, he caught, he threw. He's been impressive.
So now the 49ers with a chance, and they try to run the ball here with Joe Williams. Dallas plugs the middle enough to hold Williams to a short gain.
That was just a pump draw. C.J. Beathard pumping the ball down the field and then turning and handing it to Joe Williams on the draw play. Looked like Joe, maybe with his speed, could have popped this thing. There's the pump fake. He could have popped that thing to the outside. I think he saw the Boise State rookie sitting right there, so just tried to get what he could get.
Beathard back on 2nd down, completes it inside the 30 to Williams.
I like that.
Gives you a short 3rd down.
Absolutely, and right back into a more approachable field goal if you choose to do that.
And so the 49ers are going to make sure they take their time here, and I believe they want to try to end the half on this possession. This is all part of the drill, and it's every day. Training camp, regular season, 2-minute drill, time management, and then
it's the details, and I think that's the biggest thing in pro football. I mean, they're all ready to go, Ted, physically for training camp.
First charge timeout.
This is where analytics does come a little bit into football, Tim, and the 49ers have has been in the organization for a few years, Ryan Cordell, and he meets with Kyle Shanahan every Monday after games, and they go over that, just this part. Time management.
Right.
Last
situational
2 minutes.
Football.
2 minutes of the half, 2 minutes of the game, down and distance, when to call timeout, when not to call timeout.
Absolutely, and look, there were some great years here and a lot of wins with Jim Harbaugh, but there was a lot of issues when you start talking about the details of the game, and ultimately those become the difference in winning and losing a world championship. And Kyle Shanahan knows it. He's been around it his whole life, and it is about the details. And as I said, these guys physically now training camp, they're all ready to go. It's really, who can get them to play together the fastest?
So the 49ers need 3 yards. They still have 2 timeouts remaining. And Beathard going to the end zone for Bourne, and that's going to be a flag on Anthony Brown.
Good job by Kendrick Bourne. If this is going to be on Anthony Brown, and I think it is, that's a great job by Kendrick coming back and really
creating the flag.
Creating the contact with the corner. That's smart.
Pass interference. Defense, number 30. Automatic first down at the spot of the foul.
Yeah, not a good throw, obviously, and I think you look at Kendrick, he had the corner beaten, but smart by him to come back to the football and draw the foul. This guy worked out so hard in the offseason. You got pretty high hopes for him.
Undrafted free agent. Joe Williams gets the handoff. Nice little cross run there, and Joe working hard, drives it down close to the 1-yard line.
I call a timeout. Joe Williams, there's a hole here now, and it's, I think, the chopping of the feet just before he takes on that contact. I think if he puts a foot in the ground and hits it hard, maybe he's got a better opportunity.
This is a 30-second timeout.
So the ball at the 1-yard line, the 49ers take a timeout. I would assume at the 1-yard line, they have 3 plays here to run. And this is something that even amidst the 5-game run to end the season, was still a concern until the last 2 games. The last 2 games of the season, the 49ers were 8 for 11.
They killed it.
Touchdowns in the red zone.
Killed it.
Before that, it was a struggle.
Well, listen, as much, and it's been a small sample size for Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's got the new contract, and everybody's very excited, and the hype machine is on fire, and rightly so. They only threw 15 touchdown passes as an offense last year. You compare that with Philadelphia, 38, some of the other teams, that number's got to go up.
So Joe Williams burrows low, and he looks like to be in. No signal yet. There it is, touchdown for the 49ers. Joe Williams. And that's a nice feeling for him to finish on 2 carries inside the 10.
Absolutely. Happy for Joe, happy for the offensive line that knowing with only 19 seconds left, 1 timeout, they can still run it. And the center, Magnuson, and the right guard, I believe Person, very good push right there. Look at the double team right in the middle. Look at Person just blowing out, I believe, Price, the defensive lineman, and Joe Williams just pushes his way in there. That's a good job by the guard, and a good job by Joe Williams getting his head in the end zone.
Well, C.J. Beathard, a couple of good completions in that drive. There was the pass interference penalty, pushed the ball inside the 10. The finish by the 49ers, and the extra point through by a man who, well, he had a fabulous year here last year, to Robbie Gould.
He was my All-Pro. Yep. I don't know how many votes he got. He got 1 from me. You know, not just 39 of 41 last year. You go back, even the Giants the year before, I believe 49 of 51 in his last 51 field goal opportunities.
Robbie Gould, who, like veteran kickers often are, and the veteran kickers that preceded him here, Phil Dawson, David Akers, back to Joe Nedney. But Robbie Gould, real presence, and in the offseason, he became some help, helping the 49er Foundation raise a ton of money. He took over as an auctioneer at the Winterfest in Lake Tahoe.
Oh, he knows how to do that.
Robbie Gould was out of his mind good.
He is great in the community.
Yeah, exactly.
And back in Chicago where he played all those years, and went back and played in his golf tournament this offseason, and the amount of money that they raise is incredible. And not only that, and not just a great person, great community, and a great kicker, he's been really good for Richard Hightower in the special teams, just with his knowledge of just all the metrics, if you will, of special teams and how they relate to the big picture of the game and the outcome.
All right, so kickoff duties here will be handled by Jeff Locke, left-footed kicker. Excellent career at UCLA. Last with the Minnesota Vikings, as that ball gets kicked to the about a yard in. Jamel Showers will run it back for Dallas. So the new kickoff rules there we see employed for the first time, and it's designed, as all the data has shown, that has been compiled by the Health Committee in the NFL. 49ers Chairman Dr. John York is a big part of that committee, and the data is clear that the kickoff has been the #1 play by a significant margin.
High velocity
with injury. Now, over the last couple of years, as the rules have been modified, that number has been reduced, which is why it's being changed again this year.
Yep. Well, and now they got the use of the helmet, the new helmet rule. Yeah. We'll talk about that throughout the preseason. That, to me, is going to be a really tough one to get that one right without replay.
Well, having gone through that on Saturday football the last couple of years, it's an adjustment. It's tough. It's tough for everybody.
Well, the human eye can't capture it most of the time.
So 49ers head to the locker room, a little uplift at the end with that last-minute touchdown. Let's go down to Dennis.
Okay, alongside Kyle Shanahan, and frustrating first half, but it ended on a high note.
Yeah, I'm glad to see us getting at the end. Just too many mistakes, getting us off the field on 3rd down and things like that. Got to get our run game going a little bit, so we have some shorter 3rd downs, but glad we finished there.
Jimmy uncharacteristically inaccurate. I wonder if 6 months of everybody talking about Jimmy G hype, maybe nerves, despite it being a preseason game?
No, it's just football.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Sure.
All right, back upstairs.
All right, Dennis, so we invite you to stay with us for the NorCal Toyota halftime show, and we'll hear from The conversation Dennis had this week with Richard Sherman. That's right, Richard Sherman of the 49ers. Halftime, Cowboys lead by 7. Red zone.
Tip ball.
Cost the 49ers a chance to score points. Well, Joe Staley played the first series as well, and Joe has continued to wear the microphone tonight, so let's check in and get the latest on Joe from the sideline.
Oh, he's on his game. Look at him. Look at him.
Hey, what's up, guys? Let's go! What's this, Little League World Series? That's what I'm talking about. That was my dream, man. You guys lived my dream. Huh? The U.S. champs? That's what I'm talking about.
The Joe Show.
Yeah, the Joe Show, live and on the sideline.
He's been loving this, and it speaks again to what has happened around this.
Look at the look he's giving T. Look at him. Look at him. He's like
Terrell Lloyd,
talking to
team
Terrell,
photographer.
Dude, you don't want to mess with me. I'm Joe.
Exactly. Well, I can just tell you, this time last year, Joe was feeling a little bit of the wear and tear and beat up on the legs, and he wasn't terribly enthused. Wasn't sure how long he was going to keep going. By the end of the year, he was a young man again.
And you knew it. I mean, remember the Philadelphia game? He got his face broken. Yeah. I remember that. I mean, that was bad. And he was back. I think he missed one game from that. He was back, and he is rejuvenated. And it's amazing when you go out to practice, and I think they got him on a great plan. They give him some veteran days off, and he appreciates it. But when you watch him from day one until the practice a couple of days ago, every time they change drills, Joe Staley's the first guy at the drill. In his 12th year with all those young bucks around him. He loves it, and more importantly, he lives it.
Joe, the latest 49er to be inducted into a very significant honor in this franchise, the 10-year wall, which has now been repositioned just outside the locker room inside Levi Stadium. As Richie James runs this kickback and gets out to the left flank and nears the 30. Good return there by James.
Yeah, and he thought there was more for him. He wanted. He's like, man, I could have got more on that one.
So you know who the second senior 49er is right now?
Ted Robinson.
No, no, hardly.
You're in year 10.
And
he thought he was going to shake him on that spin move right there.
So Joe Staley is starting his 12th year here. And the next senior, the number 2 senior 49er is Garrett Selleck. I had to look back and check that. Garrett starting his 7th year here. Mostert going outside. That speaks to the turnover that Dennis highlighted at the beginning, and it also speaks to how rare it is to go 10 years with a franchise.
Yeah, absolutely, especially in today's game. Mostert getting the edge. You know why he gets the edge? Watch the crack block right there on a defensive end by a 180-pound receiver, Richie James. I mean, that's as good as it gets. Mostert with a nice stiff arm to pick up extra yards, but this guy's impressive now. 7th round pick out of nowhere, Middle Tennessee State.
So Beathard continuing on. This time, plenty of time to air it out. He's got Pettis down the field. And Pettis is dragged down at the 10.
Boy, if he speeds up the process, that's an easy touchdown, walk-in score. They go with the little boot action, and a good job by C.J. Beathard just waiting for things to develop. There's Dante. Here's all the boot action. Now, if he flips his head and just right now puts that foot in the ground and unloads it, he's running right down that hash vertically for a touchdown. Ball came out late, allowed the defenders to catch up, and that's C.J. Beathard throws a much more timely and deep ball than that, better deep ball than that.
It's a 1st and goal with the carry by Mostert. And that's what Dante Pettis, with all the talk about his return prowess, this guy was a very good receiver in college.
He doesn't just catch the football, he captures it. And the way he really extends with that length and those long arms. And then I think what's really impressive when you watch the tape, that not only does he go get it captured, but then he rips it back to his body real quick, not giving those defenders which they all want to do now. Those corners all want to rip those arms down.
So 2nd and goal, empty backfield. Beathard brings it low, intended for Pettis. Dante Pettis' dad, Gary, if you don't know, was a fabulous Major League Baseball player. Was a multiple Gold Glove winning outfielder. And Gary Pettis was at practice Monday. The Houston Astros, he's a coach for them now. We're here in town. And he came, and he said something very interesting to me. He said, Dante had heard all about how the NFL was dog eat dog and every man for himself. And he said, Dante is told that it's not like that here. You can't believe how supportive he's been, how welcomed he's been. Third throws here, and it's pushed out.
I disagree with that. And I remember Gary, he was in Anaheim playing for the Angels, I think, when I was down in USC in the mid-'80s. That's the rare breed of, in my opinion, pro football players. Every year, they're going to bring someone in to take your position if you're one of those bubble guys or you're trying to make it. Guess what happens most of the time? The veteran's going to help the guy coming in take his job. Yeah. That's just the mentality of a football player.
That's what Dante Pettis told his dad, at least, about what was going on here, was that that's exactly what was happening. So in the NorCal Toyota red zone, 49ers don't punch it in, and they'll settle here for the kick by Robbie Gould. 26. Remember him, how many times we saw him win games last year down the stretch. Chicago, Tennessee game here. So Gould puts that through. The 49ers open up. Big play from Beathard to Pettis. Sets up 3 to start the 3rd quarter. Hasn't been in the NFL.
Sure had. 7-0. Now, Eastern Illinois somewhere. I would think one thing about Jimmy now, and he's got that gunslinger mentality. He's going to let it go. He's going to trust his wide receivers. You see there, those numbers aren't great, but he did throw 51 interceptions in Eastern Illinois. So we don't want to see any part of that number getting even close to being approached.
So kick out of bounds here, and of course, as preseason goes along, the next 2 games for the 49ers will be on the road. They'll be at Houston and then at Indianapolis. Those are the games we expect to see Garoppolo a little bit more. And then the final game, which is here 3 weeks from tonight against the Chargers.
And then start the regular season at Minnesota week 1. 3 of the first 4, Ted, on the road. Some challenges when you look at that schedule in terms of all the very good quarterbacks the 49ers are going to have to play this year.
So Cooper Rush on 1st down, throws one at the feet.
Nice job by Dakota Watson. Realizing Cooper Rush is trying to get outside. And one thing Dakota Watson has is he's still got speed. He came into this league as a 220-pound will linebacker out of Florida State. He goes about 260 right now, coming off the edge, but he's still got enough gas in his legs that he can turn it on and close the gap on the quarterback, as he did right there to force the early throw.
You saw Watson out there, a veteran, and then you see 77. Taylor's back out there again.
Still.
Rush swings one out in the backfield. That's Bo Scarborough again, 7th round pick for Dallas, and he runs that to the far side to get 7. Cooper Rush, the backup quarterback for the Cowboys.
Yeah, just going to throw the check down here, and you want to come up and be elite tacklers, physical tacklers. When you go back to the really good years, 11 and 12, the defense's tackling ability in the open field, Ted, was ridiculously good. Teams want to get it out early. You got to be great tacklers. First guy there has got to get him down.
Nice little sidestep by Rush, but then the pass is broken up. Lenoir, the receiver, wants a call, but Tyvis Powell does a good job to smother that.
And Dakota Watson coming again, this time off the left side. Good hand usage right there, turning the corner, forcing Rush to get out there, and then, as you said, good play by Powell with the glove coverage and then getting his hands in there. But happy for Dakota Watson, getting a couple of nice rushes on the quarterback.
Well, you know what that shot shows you, Tim? The size of Powell.
He's huge. I mean, you look at these corners, and we'll show you some more of them here in the second half and throughout the preseason as they get going. They look like a basketball team.
Victor Bolden drifting to the far side, and he's covered. Boy, Dallas has done a very good job covering kicks tonight. that was Marquestin Huff, safety out of Wyoming, that made the tackle. Jimmy has the earpiece, but he's not mic'd, so he can't tell us the last time he lost as a starting quarterback. But the Bud Light trivia answer will tell us, yes, it was in college, by the way, in the playoffs. Towson beat Eastern Illinois. The score of that game, though, was 49-39, so it wasn't about Garoppolo, as you can see how well he played in that game.
Yeah, 321 and 4 TDs. You know what's great about him is sign him to the long-term deal, then start recruiting. Go out and get Richard Sherman, the guy standing right next to him. Believe me, that was part of the draw for Richard.
Underneath throw here by Becker. That's Ross Dwelly again, who's from the camp's tight end. Ross Dwelly, El Dorado Hills High School, so another NorCal product. So that's a first down on first down.
And really just moving these receivers all over. There's Bourne in the slot there. Pettis out at wide out on the line of scrimmage.
Joe Williams got the handoff there, but could not get into that stretch position. May have made the line of scrimmage, and the other thing you'll see now with watch the line play, and it's all kinds of guys that are fighting in their camps to see if they can impress somebody on both lines.
I think one thing about Dallas, and it's a great challenge for the 49ers tonight at the line of scrimmage, because they are so coached up and really having tunnel vision up front, and every one of their defensive linemen that go 3 deep, guys that aren't even going to make the team, I promise you, Rod Marinelli has got them all flying up the field with blinders on.
How about that clean blitz, and Beathard, despite being smacked, stands in and delivers the ball. That was an unblocked man, Justin March Lillard, right in Beathard's face.
Yeah, right up the gut, empty backfield. There's nobody out there. I'd like to see the protection again and see where the protection turned. Looked like Toran maybe squeezed down and was not supposed to, the left guard, but you get into those empty sets and defenses are going to send the extra defender.
Tim, it's not the way that anybody wants to see admiration earned, but the Philadelphia game last year, C.J. Beathard, the offensive line was just decimated, took such a pounding.
No, we know
and
he's
hung
tough.
in there, and that's, I mean, learned from his teammates as Joe Williams is dragged out of bounds.
That's a horse collar, it looked like.
That Philadelphia game was the game where the 49ers played the end of the game with backup guards playing tackle on both sides.
Yeah, that was, and that's, remember that flight home, it was like, oh man, and with all the injuries, that's where Joe got hurt, Gilliam came in, got hurt. You talked about how they had to finish with the O-line, and then Garoppolo was in the building the next day.
So 24 hours changed everything.
Which was awesome.
That flight was probably the worst flight in my tenure with this team.
That was rough.
And the next afternoon,
it seemed like there was a lot of hope there after that game.
The phone buzzes and you see this thing. What?
Yeah. Nobody talks about it, Ted, but the defense at Philadelphia is when they really started playing better and playing at the field.
Good cover there. Jeff Locke with the punt. And the 49ers did a good job of covering that punt. That's Emmanuel Mosley, safety out of Tennessee, and it got down. Our Chevron standout performer. He just knows he's on camera right now. Joe Stanley will play the 9 and 11 p.m. shows at Cobb's Club in San Francisco tomorrow night.
He'll be here all week, and he'll be happy to do it.
We're going to come down from the clouds, fly down on the wings of an angel, down onto the football field. The angels of death is what they call us. Hey, give me one. Do one. Huh? Just make up one. See what you got.
Just make up one.
I'm not like you, son. No, you can. Just make up one. I'm not like you. I'm mic'd up, by the way.
Notice that Reuben Foster's been hanging close to Joe tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy.
Watch out, Joe. Get that far away look in his eye, Ted. Better watch out. He is a clown in a good way. That's 12 years. It hurts to get down on a knee. You see that?
He needs to get one more pass thrown to him.
It's like, man, this
needs one more pass.
See, when you start every game, you don't realize it's tiring standing on the sideline. It's almost worse than playing.
Bo Scarborough was tackled for a 3-yard loss on the first down play for Dallas. Now Rush escapes, and he's got a wide open man in the middle of the field in 49er territory. So that'll be a big gainer and a first down to Marchie Murdoch.
Well, there was nobody in the middle of the field. I don't know if it's Chancellor James, the safety that came here last year out of Boise State. He's playing really as the linebacker or safety in the box. But as soon as Cooper Rush rolls out, everybody vacates the middle of the field. And then you see 43, Chancellor James trying to play catch up. So somebody busted something in the middle of the field of the defense, trying to get after the QB.
Eventually, Anton Exum there for the tackle. Underneath throw here is caught. I believe that's Dalton Schultz, who's a 4th round draft pick and familiar name for local fans. Played at Stanford.
Yep.
Got an awful lot of good tight ends that are coming out of Stanford to the NFL. Schultz will be another guy because the Cowboys lost their top 2 tight ends. Both retired. Jason Witten, one of the greats of all time, and then James Hanna. So second down here for Dallas as we hit the 7-minute mark remaining in the 3rd. Comes to the near side and finds McKay. McKay inside the 30.
There's just too much space. I mean, there's not a lot of rush. The 49er defensive line's working it. They do get Cooper Rush to flush a little bit as Dakota Watson was coming off the edge. So Rush steps up, but there's just nobody out there on the perimeter. Maben comes up late. There was nothing drawing guys back. Tighter coverage out on the perimeter. It's going to have to get better.
Scarborough gets a handoff there, and he got tripped up. Hands on him by Chancellor James. Chancellor James and
Boise State,
but he's the guy that impressed so many people as an undrafted guy last year in mini camps and OTAs.
He does a really good job there, just firing his gun, knowing that the offensive lineman's coming out there, and he just dips down, and he ends up really taking out 2 guys and making the play. And he had that knee injury, but remember last year, I mean, he raised some eyebrows quickly.
And that's why the 49ers,
camp.
They kept him because of that knee. It knocked him out of preseason and regular season last year, but he'd shown enough. They kept him and brought him back. And Rush just missing, and there's going to be a bump on Powell, I believe, as Ricky June was trying to spin away and get up the field.
Before the pass was thrown, holding, defense, number 30. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Tyvus trying to get an explanation from the official. Where did I hold? Can see him grab him, I guess, right there by the waist at that point, but he didn't look real restrictive to me.
Tyvus Powell got in here. Second half of last year, there were so many defensive injuries. The 49ers were bringing an awful lot of guys in and giving them looks. And a couple of earned this chance to come back, Powell being one of them.
And he's had a good camp. He really has. And we talked about the length and the height of the corners, not just Richard Sherman, but Powell's 6'2", 6'2.5". Keller Witherspoon's 6'3". Maben is 6 foot. All these corners, with the exception of the guys playing nickel, K'Wan Williams, Jimmy Ward in particular, have all got tremendous length because that's the model. Richard Sherman, you see right there in the baseball cap, if you've got length and height and ball skills, this defense is for you.
So on second down, this is Scarborough running and punching it down near a first down. So did Seattle change the model for everybody in the league with Sherman and Brandon Browner? They were the 2 guys that Pete Carroll first put in at those corners.
Well, we didn't see a lot of corners that size up until those guys, and there's no question Pete Carroll had a plan for those guys and how he was going to use them. And the Legion of Boom and all that stuff. Let's be honest. It was Averill and the guys coming off the edge, Michael Bennett.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what makes those corners shine. Because I don't care how good you are, if you don't have that legitimate rush, guys are going to be open, numbers to the sideline eventually.
Throw over the middle by Rush to Scarborough, and there's the first flag we've had tonight that I think is going to be about a helmet.
Illegal use of the helmet. Can't come in and lower the helmet at all to initiate contact. Both offense, defensive player, it doesn't matter. Anywhere on the field, anywhere on, it doesn't have to be a headshot, anywhere on the body. The head cannot come down
in a horizontal position.
We come into the late in the third quarter before we have it.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness defense.
Yeah, I don't agree with that
47,
call.
use of the helmet.
I don't agree with the call.
Half the distance to the goal from the end of the play. First down.
It's called on Elijah Lee, and the
helmet
rule,
is up.
Yeah, the rule is written by the league. It is a foul if a player lowers his head to initiate and make contact with his helmet against an opponent.
That's not lowering your hat.
Right.
Not from what I just saw in the replay. And that one, Ted, they're not going to get it right half the time without replay. It's too hard.
There's a slip down by Scarborough in the backfield. And as I touched on this earlier because I do see some games on Saturday too, and I've seen this for the last few years where it involves ejections of players, by the way, in college football.
Penalty.
It is extremely hard. It's hard on everybody. It's hard on the field officials. It's hard on the players. The one thing college has employed is the replay to cover the ejection of a player.
And this one eventually has to get under replay again. I mean, the officials are really good, really hard job. The human eye cannot capture the impact point most of the time.
Rush was looking for Schultz, the tight end, and goes to the back of the end zone. And did he get it? Yes, he did. That's a touchdown catch. The 2-foot toe tap drag by Lance Lenoir. Western Illinois. So I don't know if he ever played against Garoppolo. Western plays Eastern, but that's a nice play. Boom.
Yep, that's the two-toe drag for sure.
And it's what every
Tyvis Powell just has his feet stuck. Just not great awareness. I mean, you've got that guy. His feet just get stationary and allows Lenoir to make the move on him, and then just lost track of him. Down there in the red zone, you can't lose track.
It's a scoring play, so it's an automatic review. That's what the crowd is reacting to. The replays being shown up here on the big boards in Levi Stadium. No challenge needed. But I say that, it's something you appreciate in the NFL is how every receiver does that. Every receiver. That you don't play here unless you can drag your feet to make that catch.
It's incredible, just the body control they have to let those feet die like that. Oh, and trying to catch the football at the same time.
So apparently they are continuing to look at this.
All right, let's see. You got to have control. There's control. The left foot is down. It did look like the right toe drug. I saw a little bit of grass come flying up. That's a touchdown.
And it is now approved from upstairs, so touchdown stands, and Brett Maher will kick here for Dallas. So the Cowboys answer a field goal by the 49ers earlier in the quarter with a touchdown of their own. Well done by Cooper Rush to Lance Lenoir, 21-10 Dallas. Well executed scoring drive by Dallas, 10 plays for 75 yards, and the touchdown catch by Lenoir. So Dallas with 3 touchdowns tonight. Prescott engineered 1. Cooper Rush has engineered 2.
Yeah, Dak Prescott with only 3 throws, but completed all 3 of them.
Kicking off, you see the first noticeable thing is that nobody can run on the kicking team. They have to start from a stationary position. Well, reminder that you can get news from the 49ers anytime you want, including interviews, streaming videos, staying up to date brick by brick with your favorite team by visiting 49ers.com.
We got Nick Mullins out there now at quarterback.
So Nick Mullins, who's...
I love it. Steady Eddie. You know what you're getting out of that guy every day.
Practice squad all last
every
year.
day.
Southern Mississippi. This is college, so second year with the team. First throws to Richie James. So Richie James having a little bit of action here tonight. It's going to be 9+ yards on first down.
Yeah, a little combination route with Dante Pettis. It looked like Mullins was on him the whole way. He looks outside to Dante first and then comes back inside, knowing he wanted to go to Richie James just outside the arms of the linebacker. Good catch. Richie James is a challenge for defenders in traffic, Ted. That's what, for a guy that's not very big, how he goes up and gets the football with strength's been pretty impressive.
So short second down, and Mostert's going to get outside and get the first down, and more as he breaks that one. And he's into Dallas territory. One defender had a shot at him, and once Mostert broke that tackle attempt by Charvarius Ward, he was off.
Yeah, and Robinson eventually got him. Raheem Mostert is unbelievably fast. He gets a great crack block by Kendrick Bourne. Again, those wide receivers blocking well out on the edge to give it to the running backs. Mostert is a track star. I mean, really, and a very good player on special teams. But you start talking Breida, McKinnon, and Mostert. I mean, these guys are all sub 4.35.
Quick start there. And that one, I believe, is going to be a bad start by the 49ers by Najee Torin.
Ball start. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Now, one of the positions that will, and Tim's reference tonight, this Raheem Mostert or Joe Williams, how many running backs do you keep? And that's why we talked about that punt early in the game when Aaron Burbridge was on one side as the punt cover and Mostert on the other, and they were the two guys who've excelled at that position. Burbridge in 2016, he missed last year with an injury, so Mostert stepped in, took that job over, and he was outstanding.
He sure was. And I mean, you've mentioned also has the return skills. He just can do so much for this team. And that's where it's going to be a challenge for Joe Williams. Now, Joe's got the leg up on him in terms of, his entry point as a 4th-round selection. And ideally, you like to keep the 4th-round selection. But if he's not as good as the guy in front of him, good coaches know what to do, and they keep the better player.
So there are 3 receivers to the top for Nick Mullins. Free play here with a jump off side, and that's an extension and a near miss on the catch, and then a late flag comes in. So Victor Bolden just had that ball go off his fingertips.
A couple of flags, one over on the sideline and the Cowboys, and then one that came from the back judge late, as you said, as it looked like Bolden had it until the ground knocked it out.
Victor Bolden is going to have 49ers will have to have a decision there because Victor Bolden is going to miss the first 4 games of the season.
Fouls there in the play, both by the defense. Offside. Defense number 99. That penalty is declined. Pass interference. Defense number 26. Automatic first down at the spot of the foul.
So Bolden, who did a lot of kick returning for the 49ers last year, but he has a league suspension, so he can't play the first 4 games.
And they'll get a roster exemption for that. But then what happens when he comes back?
That's what makes his situation a little bit dicey in this training camp.
I'm telling you, this competition for, and who knows how many wideouts they're going to keep? At least 5, maybe 6. Who knows if one more because of the suspension? But to watch that thing shake out is going to be something to watch. A lot of competition.
So Mostert punches ahead for a few yards. The one thing it does allow the 49ers is
ball's
a
out,
little bit of injury. Oh, let's see, was it blown dead?
I don't think so. I didn't hear a whistle.
Cowboys are saying no. We haven't seen an official. Still haven't seen an official signal. Did they say it?
Ruling on the field is that there was a fumble. The defender picked up the ball and was down by contact. It's Dallas's ball. First down.
So, a fumble by Mostert. Second turnover of the night by the 49ers.
And down in scoring position again. And Aaron Mostert, as he's sliding up inside, and he's hanging on to that ball. He's got both hands on it. And then I couldn't see, as soon as he took his right arm off the ball, it looked like to absorb some contact. Could not tell when it came out from that look.
Can't see anything.
Can't see anything from that look.
One of the problems in preseason football is going to be the camera angles won't be the same to allow the coaches to have that opportunity.
Well, not just the angles, but the number of cameras.
Right, exactly. So, of course, a turnover, it is automatically being reviewed.
I don't think they're going to be able to see anything to overturn this based on the looks we saw.
Yeah. And it's the problem is, of course, it goes and it jams right into the middle of the field amidst all of the bodies. So, call on the field's going to stand.
Ted, you know, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I say Dallas has brought in Mike White now as the quarterback.
We got Tarvarius Moore out here, third-round pick, playing corner, and they are high on him in terms of his upside.
So that's Darius Jackson getting a handoff in the game. Mike White, the quarterback for Dallas, he was a draft pick. He played 2 years at South Florida and then 2 years at Western Kentucky. Further example of where you find players.
That's
where
right.
you find, especially the way that offenses have changed from high school football to college football. So many schools now are just winging the ball all over the place.
Basketball on grass.
Swung out here, and Jackson runs it down the far sideline, takes it up near midfield.
Come with a safety blitz off the edge. Robert Saleh. Unblocked. I believe it was Terrell Williams, but Corey Toomer not there fast enough as the cover-up defender for that running back out there on the swing route. And if you're not going to block the safety coming off the edge and the guy's going out for a route, you got to have a defender that's ready to cover up for the blitzer.
We have a Cowboy player shaken up here in the last 30 seconds of the quarter. There's Robert Saleh, starting his second year as the defensive coordinator.
I was talking to him the other day, and we were talking the Philly game. That's really when the defense started playing better. As good as Philadelphia was offensively, that's the game when things started to click for the defense. The run defense got so much better as the year went on. And I think in knowing Robert, he knows, first and foremost, you better stop that run. And you go back to the 16 season, we all remember how bad that was at run defense. So they clearly got so much better in that area last year. Now here's the big question, Ted. Can they close the door in games with a pass rusher?
Yes.
And tighter coverage? That remains to be seen.
And I think red zone was another area on both sides of the ball. The 49ers want to be better at this year.
And I think, who knows, but I think we'll see some different coverages with Richard Sherman on board down in the red zone.
Jackson bouncing this to the left outside. Good effort there, Darius Jackson. Guy trying to prove something. He's been in the league for his third year now, and he's not played in a game yet in the NFL. Out of Eastern Michigan.
A nifty little move on Nzauchu, who looked like he should have had him right in the hole.
All right, so Dallas into San Francisco territory as we come to the end of the third quarter. Cowboys have had a pretty good offensive night. There's the best 49er offensive play of the night, Heather DePennis. But it's Dallas with the lead heading to the fourth. So we go to the fourth quarter at Levi's Stadium, and it's just been a lot of enthusiasm here tonight. Simply seeing football back with a season that starts with so much hope for the 49ers. The 49ers president, Al Guido, is joining us now. And Al, this week, I mean, it's just, as we said, it's fabulous to see football again. The stadium, the field looks great and everything, but Dwight Clark was so much a part of this week. And the announcement that you made the other night on behalf of the York family about the statue that's going to commemorate Dwight as part of a season-long honor for him.
Yeah, it was a really special night. You know, Ted, an 8-7, then fitting. Obviously, we're playing the Cowboys. I know it's a preseason game, but last year, DC Day, we played the Cowboys, having Dwight be here, speak to the fans. We wanted to do something special for him and honor him this year. I know you guys showed the bunting where his logo is going to be all year long. It's also going to be on the field when we're playing the LA Rams. And I think the big one is the statue that we're going to have out in the Intel Plaza. You know, we wanted to replicate the catch. So that's Joe Montana at 7 feet tall, Dwight at 11 feet tall where he was making the catch, the exact distance of the throw, 23 yards. And that statue is going to be rolled out Saturday, the day before we play the LA Rams on Sunday night.
First of all, Al, That's awesome. I'm taking my tie off. If Guido can do it, Ryan can do it.
Preseason, right?
Robinson, you got to be next.
We missed the memo, Tim.
We did miss the memo, but we will miss Dwight. And seriously, just talk about his legacy in '87, and he was so much more than just the catch.
You know what? We talked about it the other day, and it was interesting to hear when people talk about their teammate, they mention family and friend and love, and those are things you don't think about in football per se. You know, Tim, you're in a locker room, and what I found striking is all the stories were about Dwight sort of off the field, what he was in the locker room, and to me that was just super cool and super interesting to be. And I got my own stories, things he said to me during breaks. After DC Day, he left me a voicemail message I'll never delete. And honestly, the last thing he said to me was, Al, just take care of my guys. You and Jed, I can't thank the family enough for everything you did for me today. But one final thing, take care of my guys, raise money for the Golden Heart Fund. And that's what he was about. He was about all of his guys. He was about his family. He was about his kids. I mean, that's what DC meant to all of us. It wasn't just what happened on the field. It was all the things that happened off the field. He was just a great ambassador, not just for the 49ers, but for the NFL.
And so that statue is going to be, that's Alumni Weekend?
That is going to be Alumni Weekend. That's right. So we're going to spend that whole weekend raising funds for the Golden Heart Foundation. We're proud. We've been able to raise about $2.5 million to date. And we've given out over $100,000 in grants to our former players. And it's a great way for our former guys to reach out. And, you talked about it a little bit the other night, Ted. It's not just, it's not a handout. It's a hand up. When our guys need help and support, with whatever's going on. And maybe something's not going on with them, but it's with their family. That's what those guys are there to do. The board's done a great job. Ronnie Lott, Ron Ferrari, all those guys are great.
And just to make sure people who are not aware, the Golden Heart Fund was established to help former 49er players. No other team, just 49er alums. The York family started it with $1 million. Eddie DeBartolo started with $1 million. And it was so much a part of what Dwight wanted. You can visit goldenheartfund.org if you'd like to learn more about something that is so important to the people of this franchise.
No question. I mean, we talked a lot about Ronnie, sort of brought the idea. Him and Jed had a conversation one day at lunch around, hey, how do we speed up the process? And Tim will tell you, as an NFL player, sometimes you got to request funds from the league.
A lot of red tape.
Yeah, and it's okay, it happens, right? It's part of the process. But I think if we could speed that up and get support to our guys in need. We had a guy, a couple years ago, not to give out his name, but he was battling some health concerns and really just needed some funds to kind of get through that process. And Ronnie was like, hey, we got to have a better way. There has to be a better way. And I give him and Harris and Ronnie, and of course Jed was like, you know what, Al, whatever we need to do, let's go figure it out. And those guys really came up with the idea.
Speaking about Ronnie Lott, of course, and Harris Barton, two great 49er alums, as these flags are being sorted out after the punt.
It's not even, 49er alums, but 49er family, and the way that everybody turns out for each other it's amazing. And I was at a great organization with Chicago, and certainly one of the beginners and one of the early ones. But you've been in Dallas, you've been in other places, and it's special in a lot of places. But the atmosphere here and the tight-knit family atmosphere is really something to be said for it.
It's unlike anything I've seen, and it, a lot of it I got to give the current guys a lot of credit. You think about John Lynch and Kyle and what they've done reaching out to the alumni group. Kyle's stories about Rockland, being part of that process with his father. I think there's a good connection there. And obviously John, they always call him the adopted son, right, at Stanford. But for us, having those guys in the fold with our current players, watching Steve Young come down and talk to our quarterbacks and what that means, it's invaluable. And it's not just on the field stuff, it's off the field stuff too. And seeing all those alumni guys come back last year, and that speaks to Dwight, right? What guy could bring a group like that back, the 81 team? It's Dwight. And to have that come together, we've now just kept it going, on his, in his behalf, really, because it means so much to this organization for those alumni guys to give those guys what it should be to be a 49, what it means to be a 49ers.
Right. All right, we have a repunt here. You can see Ron Torbert's signals. There were 2 fouls. Dallas illegally touched the ball, and there was an illegal formation. The 49ers took the formation penalty to force this re-kick. Since the ball was down at about the 2. So Marr hangs us up there. Richie James will let that go, and it is going to be to the end zone. So that will be a touchback. So we'll continue with 49er President Al Guido after we take this first break in the fourth quarter at Levi's Stadium. Together. It wouldn't be that friendly if the game counted in the regular season standings, but Al Guido, 49er president, I walk in here tonight, and the first thing I see are these big, comfortable chairs in the end zone. I ordered 3 of them for up here. I'm assuming they'll come later.
They're pretty nice, aren't they? Yeah, no, we put those in this year. We've tried to improve the building every year, and obviously there's only about 60 of those. They're all sold out for the season. It's tremendous. You know, we don't have courtside seats, right, in football, so that's the closest you can get to the action outside of playing. So they've been a tremendous thing for us, but a lot of it is just continuing to improve the building and the fan experience here, Ted. This year we're doing giveaways again for all the games coming up. We announced the other day Jimmy G's the bobblehead. Our fans have been asking us for bobbleheads.
The Jimmy G
We got the Jimmy G bobblehead.
It's going to get a lot of run, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the 94 unis coming back against the Rams, which obviously we rolled those out in the state of the franchise with Jerry, right? I mean, who else? Jerry looks good in everything, so you bring Jerry back to roll those jerseys out.
Yeah, as long as it's not dirty. You got to be clean for Jerry. We know that. And look, at the end of last year and the 5 wins, you could start to feel this place start to erupt a little bit with the product on the field being better, and of course, getting the victories. Good explosion there by Joe Williams. But talk about, I mean, a lot of new bling. You talked about the stadium, as you said. It does look better every year, which you guys have done to it over the last 3 off seasons. But talk about getting ready for the opener and anticipation of the 2018 season. I believe it's the Lions is the home opener.
That's exactly right. I mean, we couldn't be more excited for it. The hope and optimism in the off season from the fan base. If you look at all of our social and digital traffic, what people are saying about us now, we got to live up to those, right? And, if you look at our brick by brick and all the content that the team is pushing out from the 49er studios and how fans are consuming that, again, we renewed at a high rate for season ticket holders. Over 97% of our season ticket holders renewed, which just speaks to the faithful. They stuck with us through those first couple years, and, hopefully we're building something now that they're proud of. And we added elements into the stadium last year to make it feel a little bit more like home, the Hall of Fame, the imagery. But you know what? We all know until you play those big games that matter. I mean, we saw it last year in Jacksonville, which it wasn't even a game that mattered from a playoff perspective, but it's just this building can light up. I promise you this building will get loud. I know the decibel levels. It will be louder than Candlestick. It has proven to be that, but we got to have games late in the season, that matter. But it starts with Detroit against our home opener. We need to pack this place. It needs to be loud. We want to get off to a good start, so it starts right there.
And have a real home field advantage. And look, I've said it, at the end of last year, you can look at the points that were scored offensively. You can look at how training camp has been and really what the weapons are. And this isn't an accurate, to me, display here in the preseason in game number 1 and what I think this passing game and this offense is going to be. But, man, you start scoring points, now that home field advantage and that crowd, when you're rushing the passer, the difference is humongous in terms of what an advantage it is.
No question. I mean, you saw the pressure we were able to put on people by scoring some early points, later in the season, what that meant for our defense, and what it means for the pass rush. If it can make somebody one-dimensional, it just schematically it does so much. If we're able to obviously move the ball on offense and score some points, and then at home, if the crowd can get into it on third downs. I mean, you saw what Coach had to say last year about those late season games, and I mean, just imagine if those games are playoff games, and if we're looking to, we're fighting at the end in those divisional rounds. We need to bring that spirit here. I know it's in our fans, and it's up to, all of us on the business side to make sure the experience is great, and it's up to the guys on the field to make sure they're playing their tails off to put us into those positions.
Back to second down, Al, because we're talking about this stadium and what it has meant to the 49ers, but to Santa Clara, to the Bay Area, to Northern California. We're bringing the national championship football game.
How about that?
National championship college football. I'm assuming Alabama fans have already booked hotel rooms. I'm guessing. But that's significant as a pick thrown by Mullins.
That ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. That's the 3rd or 4th tip ball today.
Duke Thomas with the, actually it's not Duke Thomas. It's an interception. Jamel Showers with the interception for Dallas.
I believe it was Neal that got the hand up.
All right, so a turnover. It's the 3rd of the night by the 49ers. We'll come back with Cowboys leading 21-10. Beathard and now Nick Mullins by tipped passes, and here's another one that causes a pick.
Yeah, it's Richard Ash right here who gets his hand up just off of his fingernails, and then Showers is just sitting right there waiting for it. Tips and overthrows in the middle of the field against teams playing zone defense. The ball gets tipped up. Recipe for a takeaway.
And my correction there, that was Duke Thomas who caught the tipped ball, but Dallas has it on the third turnover tonight by the 49ers. So let's continue with 49er President Al Guido. We were talking, Al, just before the break there about the fact that among the great events that have come to the stadium already, here comes the national championship of college football.
The stadium's been amazing for non-NFL events, as we call them. We've done more events here in the 4.5 years we've been in operation than any other stadium in the country. And obviously to have the big game here, well, the second to big game, right? The college football championship game on the January 7th, 2019 means a lot. You know, obviously Alabama, Georgia, right? They're looking to book those early flights, but you know, being a West Coast team, it's the first champ game that's going to be held on the West Coast. And it's not just the World Cup, Ted. It's, you know, or not just the CFP. We're trying to book the World Cup in 2026. We put in our interest the other day to maybe host Super Bowl 59 and/or 60. So it's been really great for us. We know our priority is the 49ers games. There's no question. But we're trying to do as much as we possibly can to give back to the city and to give back to people that really want to see other sports.
What should fans that are going to be coming out here expect during that national championship weekend?
It's going to be a great weekend. Most of the events are going to be held down in San Jose. We got 3 days worth of concerts being hosted by ESPN. They're all free to the public. We have ticket packages that are on sale. If you want to go to the game right now, go to BayArea2019.com if you're interested in coming out to the game, or just look at 49ers.com and call up your service representative. For anybody who's a San Francisco 49ers season ticket holder, you have access to that. Same thing with suite holders. It's an amazing experience. I've been lucky enough to go to the first 4 games. They've all ended in tremendous fashion. Remember last year, the Alabama game, they put in the freshman quarterback because they couldn't really move the ball, changes the entire dynamic of the game, and Alabama goes on to win in a scintillating end to that championship game. But every year prior to that, Clemson, Alabama games, Deshaun Watson, it's just a tremendous experience for the fans.
Well, before you came to join the 49ers, you worked in Dallas for this other team here.
How about them Cowboys, Al?
And I'm saying, did you say hi to Mr. Jones?
Yeah, it's a little different now.
I was wondering.
I said hi, and then I hope we beat your tail. I didn't say that, and then I hope we'll both stay healthy. I mean, I think, you know, as we get through these preseason games, obviously the roster spots and the battles are important, but you know, we want to get to a point where we're playing in those regular season games with our guys. We got a little nicked up tonight in a few spots, and hopefully those guys can come back healthy. But there's no question. I mean, you know, I'd love to see these guys and beat them, you know, in a game that mattered. But, you know, first and foremost, we got to play well in our division to ever see these guys down the road, and hopefully we can take care of those division games.
You know what? You've seen, Al, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have been great because fans have been coming to the training camp practices.
That's smart. I like what they've done with the camp schedule and with the fans coming.
And the aura, especially when Garoppolo's on the field, but even when he's not, the aura and the excitement in the training camp practices has been palpable.
Well, I'll give Kyle the credit there, and John. I mean, they really wanted a bunch of people out, and we've been able to put 2,000 people back there. I'll tell you, next year we're working on ways to add more. Kyle wants to have more people out there for training camp practices, but the environment is fantastic. I can't thank our fans enough. And I got to give a plug to our players, because the community corner, every day, a different position group gets to bring out, you know, people in the community or things that matter to them in the nonprofit world. You saw the other day, Solomon Thomas, the defensive line guys, brought out people with mental illness, obviously near and dear to everything about him and his heart. And you know, that's all our players and what they do off the field. They're a tremendous group of guys, not just what they do on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays, but what they do all year round. They're fantastic.
Well, and that starts at the top with you guys and with the coaching staff, and how you guys spread that message of being real and being part of it, being accountable, and being 49ers on and off the field.
All right, well, thank you very much. I just want to say, you know, let's have a great season, faithful.
Al, thanks. Al Guido, 49ers president. We're back to the fourth quarter at Levi. How about that? Ricky Waters, outstanding NFL career. So here we go with 8.5 to play. Nick Mullins for the 49ers back to work and got that one in. Boy, he threaded that over some
that was a heck
arms.
Of a catch.
Yeah, and got that to Victor Bolden.
I mean, throw on the run behind Bolden, and he's able to contort his body and reach back and get it. And a good job by the defense. And we had Al Guido in here, but getting the stop on third down, a nice hit, nice pressure from DJ Jones.
And you know, a guy you talked about earlier, Peter Talmon-Pena, was in on that last pressure as well.
And I'm telling you, Ted, he has gotten so much better, and he's going to get opportunity throughout this preseason to rush the passer, something he certainly was able to do when he was at Utah.
Mullins off play action, and that one can't. Wow, after all of that bobbling, it's going to be an incomplete pass. Bolden could not hang on.
It's a good throw.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete forward pass. It's second down.
Here's a replay here coming off the left side of your screen. Just there. They hit him right in the grill. I mean, it looked like it had some zip on him, went right through his hands. Now he's still fighting to stay with it, and right there it looked like it had touched the ground 2 times. Mullins has made some nice throws, Ted, since he's been out there.
Yes, he has. As a practice squatter all last year, didn't get very much even practice abilities. Get a whole lot of run in the preseason. In fact, as Williams has tackled Nick Mullins last year, by the time we got to December, the 49ers had suffered so many injuries in the defensive backfield. When they put the scout team out on the field for practice, Nick Mullins played free safety.
Oh yeah, he'll do anything, and he just shows up, as I said, steady Eddie. Nothing he can do here as Joe Williams is trying to run the ball and they're getting evaluation. And you got offensive linemen, Ted, the whole left side, 3 yards in the backfield. Joe Williams got no chance.
Coleman Shelton is playing center right now. He's an undrafted lineman from Washington. Dunbar with a catch there. That was Stephen Dunbar.
Well, nice
out of
play.
Houston.
Yeah, and a big-bodied guy. Not real fast, but they don't have a lot of big-bodied receivers in camp, the 49ers, and he's the one. I'll tell you why he was able to flash open and get that one from Mullins is it's the block right here by Joe Williams, chopping that safety down as he's trying to come right up the gut.
That's going to earn some points. Want it for Joe? I mean, the fact that you can pass pro like that.
That's right. That's a huge prerequisite in the job description.
And now a 4th down play. Need 3. Mullins going for much more up top to Bolden, and Bolden makes a terrific catch amidst 2 defenders. Victor Bolden, best catch of the night. Donovan Olumbo was the defender smothering him right here.
Yeah, watch his hands subtly with a little bit of a push-up, just enough right there, really hand fighting. And then to go up and track that ball with his hands, come down in between the 2 defenders, and then the other defender trying to rip it out, and Bolden hangs on to it. That's a big-time play.
That's an outstanding catch. Gets the 49ers into the red zone, and it's a 4th down conversion. Williams staying in as the running back. That's not Williams. It's Johnny McNichols breaking it down to the 5-yard line. So McNichols getting his first appearance tonight. He was a player that was drafted. He was a 5th-round draft pick last year by Tampa Bay.
Another Boise Stater.
Right, and if you watched, as a lot of football fans do, if you watched Hard Knocks last year, you saw him as a featured player because he got cut at the end of camp by Tampa Bay. The 49ers brought him in on the practice squad.
Yeah, he's got a little something to him for sure, and got a real nice block from his guard, Najee Torin, right there on the linebacker to spring it.
This is a 2nd down play. McNichols gets the 1st down, and he is just short of the goal line.
And this time they pull Torin around on the left side. Let him lead the way up in there, and a good job by McNichols just cutting off of it, seeing it, cutting into the inside, putting his head down, getting what he can get. There's Torin. He's going to go over and try to get that kick-out block, which he does. It was a busted tackle on Neal and able to pick up a few more yards, get it down inside the 1.
Well, McNichols, the deep back. Nick Mullins under center. And McNichols slashes off the right side and takes it in for a 49er touchdown.
That was a nifty little move in the backfield. Looked like just a little shuffle sideways, Ted, and then he turned on the gas and punched it in.
And an offset fullback there, Malcolm Johnson here helping lead the way.
There's the cut right there, as he just slipped it to the outside, and it looked like he wanted to bounce for a second and then saw that hole up inside and just put his head down. Goes through the line of scrimmage square and across the goal line square.
And now with a 5-point difference, the 49ers will go for 2. Ball placed on the right hash. Kendrick Bourne is to the top, Victor Bolden to the bottom.
Kyle's down here talking to the official.
Well, this situation, I don't know, do you have to take a timeout?
First charge, timeout and a half, San Francisco. This is a 30-second timeout.
This bit the 49ers, remember, early in the season last year against the Rams, a new rule about starting the play clock right after a touchdown. So if there's celebration delay, you have to hurry.
Right. Well, that's the thing. They're going to let him celebrate.
And the other question is, when you go for 2, did they already bring the kicking ball, the K ball as they call it? Was that already on the field? Did they have to replace to put the regular ball in play? Don't know that.
I wonder if that's what Kyle was talking about.
Yeah, that might be. There's something, because this happened, remember the Rams game early last season, the 49ers got bit by that. There's the conversation going on now between members of the officiating team, including the referee Ron Torbert in the backfield.
The clock will stop for an official's timeout. San Francisco did not call a timeout, will not be charged with a timeout. San Francisco has 3 timeouts remaining.
I think it had to do with that ball, Ted. I think you're right.
It might be. So it was something there that was wrong, but again, it was part of the initiative to keep the game moving last year and to stop the elongated celebrations. Is that the play clock starts basically right after they signal touchdown. And that really hurts if you're trying to put a 2-point conversion in play. All right, so here we go for 2.
See what Joe Williams has got.
Yeah, Joe's the running back. 2 tight ends. The Dallas jump. Yes, they did. Fade is broken up, and I think Dallas jumped. And there's another flag in the end zone. So the 49ers are likely to get another try here.
And Kendrick Bourne came down a little awkward. It looks like he either got the wind knocked out of him or something. I'd be surprised if he doesn't take a knee here in the end zone. He mistimes his jump as he's going up for it there and then just gets ripped to the ground.
They ran it hard.
Ran it hard on his back.
Yep. There was a flag at the lines. There used to be 2 fouls.
There were 2 fouls during the play, both by the defense. Offside. Defense is declined. Pass interference. Number 39 of the defense is accepted. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line and will replay the try.
So the 49ers obviously will stick with a 2-point try here from the 1-yard line.
Yeah, and there's the offside right up the gut.
Kez White, there's the Cowboy DB that was flagged. So 1 yard away for 2 points.
No receivers on the field.
3 tight ends and a fullback. And they're just going to run Joe Williams straight ahead, but I don't think he got there. Somehow a Cowboy got in. Oh, a Cowboy defender got in there.
I don't know if he ever got the ball clean.
Well, that's something. Lining up in what should be a strong look here. 65 got in there and got a piece of him pretty quickly. Austin Larkin.
Well, low man's going to win on the goal line, and that's what the Cowboys did there. As you said, that knifing penetration by Larkin, and everyone inside of him was stout at the point of attack as well.
Jason Garrett's getting an explanation, I'm assuming, about that timeout, no timeout. But with 4:24 to play, the Cowboys retain a 5-point lead. There's the scoring drive, and
take some good plays by Nick Mullins. Good throws by him on that drive.
And Victor Bolden with
a great catch.
Individual standout play.
A couple of nice runs, certainly one by Jeremy McNichols.
The 49ers will have a couple more practices here in Santa Clara over the weekend. They will go to Houston next week. They leave Monday. They will go to Houston, as a lot of teams are doing right now. In fact, the Rams went all the way across the country, just did this in Baltimore.
No, and we did that a few years ago.
49ers did.
And nobody likes going east in the preseason.
Well, all the way across the country is bizarre.
Yeah.
But, 49ers have done this with Denver a couple of times. Denver was here last year for it. Now this year it'll be the 49ers going to Houston. They'll have practices on Wednesday and Thursday. Joint practices against the Texans.
Yeah, I'll be there. I think we take off Monday. I'm going down.
Walk through on Friday, and then Saturday night, Saturday night will be the second preseason game.
They've got a lot of changes to their staff too. The Houston Texans. Vrabel gone. Defensive coordinator, now the head coach. Tennessee.
So Jeff Locke with a kickoff, and it's run back well by the Cowboys outside the 30-yard line. That's Trey Williams, first year back out of Texas A&M. So let's take a look at our tuft and needle tackle of the game. This is on the opening drive. Buckner and Thomas.
Great move by Buckner. That's his patented move, his best move, and it's the swim to the outside shoulder of the guard. He swallows up, or attempts to swallow up, Dak Prescott, who squeezes out, and then Solomon Thomas there to clean it up. This guy right here, Buck, if they get DeForest Buckner some help around him in terms of a legitimate edge rusher that's really going to bring it down in and down out, that cat's looking at 15 sacks. I think he can be that good.
And that's been one of the stories this week around the 49ers is, will Buckner get some edge rush time to try to generate?
Yeah, I think some edge rush if he's involved in a game. He is not a speed rusher, Ted, running the corner. That's just not going to happen.
You saw on that replay tonight, he was matched up with Connor Williams, who's a rookie second-round draft pick that the Cowboys are putting right into their starting lineup. And he's surrounded by Pro Bowlers, but Buckner took advantage of that.
Yeah, and Buckner is going to, that was his best move, but he's got a bigger repertoire of moves that include power that he's going to break out this year. He's just a war daddy when you talk about all the plays and all the stamina that he's got and his durability. Something to be said for it.
Second down, and I'll tell you, the first two run plays here, 55 in red has been involved in both. Pita Taumopenu, one of the players, Tim, you talked about at the beginning tonight to watch.
I'll tell you, in 21.5 sacks coming out of college, and the knock on him coming in was he'd be a package guy. He's going to struggle in run defense. I don't see that at all in practice. Saw it last year, but he is really setting the edge. And I think Johnny Holland going to outside linebacker coach and D'Amico Ryans to the inside linebackers has helped these guys out, really in both areas, inside and out. But Pete is a guy that's benefited. He's raised the level of his game for sure.
So the 49ers with a 3rd and 9 facing Dallas, using their first timeout. They get one more possession.
We've talked about a lot of these defensive backs. Haven't talked much about Emmanuel Mosley, who's been out there. And I think he has an opportunity to make some noise on this team. Now, there's a long way to go. He's a college free agent out of Tennessee, but he's been active, to say the least, in training camp.
And DBs, that's going to be you're going to have more DBs end up on the 53 than any position.
We have 10, I would assume 10 guys.
That's what
safeties and corners.
That's another evolution of the game, because you play 5 or 6 on every down in the regular season. White throws underneath, and there's a nice move, and that's going to be a first down. Well, the 49ers didn't tackle there, and Trey Williams with an open field move gets a first down. Cowboys keep the ball.
You got to make this tackle right here in front of the line to gain, and just not a great angle right here from Elijah Lee. That's a good cut from the running back, but then you hope Elijah can make that play for the first down.
So that'll let the Cowboys take the game clock likely down to the 2-minute warning with this set of downs. Scott Linehan there with the headset on. Once upon a time was a head coach of the St. Louis Rams, and he stayed on. Again, Jason Garrett changed a lot of players. He lost a highly regarded coach, Matt Eberfluss, went to Indianapolis, where he's going to be the D coordinator.
Yep.
That one, and Rich Bisaccia was their longtime special teams guy. He went to Oakland. They kept Linehan as the OC, and Marinelli as the DC.
Yeah, and they're both really good. I remember doing games when Scott Linehan first came in the league, and he was the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. And you remember Mike Tice was the head coach up there at that time, and they had the Randy ratio. Knew his Hall of Famer, Randy Moss, in Pro Football Hall of Fame, but Scott Linehan and Mike, they had the Randy ratio that there was a certain amount of throws that were going to Randy Moss every game, no matter what.
San Francisco. This is the 32nd time.
I don't think if Linehan, I don't know if he really thought that was a great idea, as good as Randy was. The Randy ratio.
The Randy ratio. I hadn't heard that before.
Oh, yeah. I think Mike Tice came up with that one. Like, this guy's that good, we got to throw him the ball this many times, period.
Well, you know, you talk about Linehan throwing the ball, yet the Cowboys went 13-3 last year when they ran and ran and ran. And last year, Elliott missed 6 games. They split those 6 games. They end up going 9-7.
No, they're very stout at the line of scrimmage. And if you can run the ball, which they can do, and you can play defense, and I anticipate they will. They got some good players, a lot of new players on the back end. Their front seven's got some big-time players. They're going to be right there in the NFC East.
On second down, the 49ers have used their last timeout. Misdirection pitch, and Trey Williams to the sideline, and he goes out of bounds. And there's Pita Taumapenu. Good play. The 49ers get the ball back, and they just saved about 40 seconds.
Yeah, Pita is just such an explosive athlete in terms of his ability to pursue and get after it. But again, I think what they've liked most is setting the edge in the run game. And it hasn't just always been against tight ends, which he just did there, was able to shed and discard the tight end and get on the ball. But he's done it through training camp against offensive tackles, so it's been good to watch.
So it is third down now, 3rd and 9. No timeouts, but that out of bounds by Trey Williams means the 49ers will get the ball back if they can stop right here. And they will stop with a sack. And that's Julian Taylor.
He's played this whole game.
Well, I was just going to say, Julian Taylor is going to get a rarity in preseason football, a complete game.
Yeah, he won't have
a baseball anymore.
He won't have a complete number of plays, whatever the play is, but he's played every quarter of this game. He's played on the left, he's played on the right, he's ran games. With the defensive lineman next to him, has been effective in the run, getting push, and that time right there finishes it off with a sack. He's been really impressive today, starting out there for Eric Armstead, who we haven't even talked about, Ted, out with a hamstring injury.
That was Chris Kiffin, you just saw the new coach added by Kyle Shanahan to help with pass rush plays, slapping Taylor. 7th round draft pick out of Temple, and again only started 9 games in his college career. Impressed enough to beat draft Victor Bolden here. And a nice little spin and return, and he's still going. So Victor Bolden out close to the 25, and the 49ers will have exactly 2 minutes.
Julian Taylor's one of those rare birds, Ted, that came out of college football already knowing how to play the run.
This is the 2-minute warning.
I mean, he is an old school player, could play in any era. That's what he does.
So if you're a young guy trying to prove yourself in a preseason football game, Julian Taylor on that scale gets an A tonight.
He sure does. How about just learning great technique and learning how to play the game at the line of scrimmage? And that's what I would say. I mean, you look at what he was able to do while he was at Temple, and all that included 2 season-ending injuries. We had the 9 starts, not a lot of production. But in the games that he did play, he controlled the line of scrimmage. And it's just the way that he plays. A lot of areas to get better. But there's not a lot of guys coming out, certainly out of college football now, that play with that flat back, with that old school mentality, getting their head in there and getting dirty. As he told me in practice that he likes to get dirty.
All right, Nick Mullins underneath to Jeremy McNichols. That pushes the ball out across the 30. The 49ers have no timeouts, and they need to go to the end zone with a 5-point deficit.
Another great situation for Kyle Shanahan.
Ball, it's caught. It bounced off one receiver into the hands of Dunbar.
Yeah, that was off Ross Dwelly's hands, the tight end, and then Dunbar came up with it. A little magic to Nick Mullins tonight.
There you go. Well, that's a tip ball that went the 49ers' way.
And
Dwelly's wide open. Now there's Ross Dwelly running the middle of the field, and that's the Shanahan scheme that we saw so often the last 5 games of last year, was how open receivers.
Well, he just looked those choice routes and guys opening up the middle of the field for the tight ends. It's obvious the Shanahans know how to use tight ends. Kyle's going to be really good
with it this year with those guys.
Good tackle there by Dallas to keep him in the field of play. No timeouts for the 49ers. That was White, Marquez White on the tackle. The 49ers have a chance to see if they can steal this game.
Nick's done a good job handling this situation right here.
And Mullins throws inside, caught by Bourne to the 15-yard line. So the 49ers
got the first
that's
down.
what I would assume. The sideline screaming at the 49ers to keep going here. Again, they cannot stop the clock, but they're going to have 3 to 4 shots here at the end zone. Mullins in the middle, broken up. At the 5-yard line.
Got a flag.
And a late flag. That's Olumba. Donovan Olumba again guarding Victor Bolden. That was the matchup that Bolden made the spectacular catch on the previous drive.
Yeah, it looked like you cannot come over the back, and that's what it looked like as he was trying to drive to the football.
So in the NorCal Toyota red zone.
Pass interference. Defense, number 32. Automatic first down at the spot of a foul.
So 21 seconds. And the 49ers are going to have.
Ooh, that
was. I hear you.
Like pretty good defense to me.
I hear you. There've been a few of those. 7 yards away. Probably can't run the ball with no timeouts here, but Nick should have 4 shots to the end zone.
Yeah, you can run it and clock it for sure, but you're hoping for Nick Mullins right here. He popped this thing in.
And Mullins to the middle, and it is a touchdown, 49ers, Richie James.
Happy for these guys, happy for Mullins. Cool as a cucumber on that whole 2-minute drill. That's great work for him and good work for the coaches in terms of the practice. He just lets this develop. And Richie James, underneath the coverage, takes a big shot, but still gets the strike and hangs onto the ball from Mullins. Now they're going for 2.
Well, Richie James has also made a little bit of a mark tonight. Again, Trent Taylor, who...
Please run the play clock. Please start the play clock.
Trent Taylor, who shined last year, especially late, had a back procedure done. He's in practice, but was not going to play tonight. Richie James getting his opportunity, full opportunity.
And making the most of it. And he's been impressive since he got here, for sure. And he brings some rare skill sets for a 7th-round pick, and you can see he's tough and can take a hit right there.
So the 49ers want to try to get this to a 3-point lead, and they'll throw one up there for Bourne, and he's just completely run over that. Well, Olumba can't complain there. That was a complete stampede. So we'll have another play from the 1-yard line.
It's almost like on purpose these quarterbacks throw the fade short just so they can get the PI. I mean, how many times typically you see those fades go to the corner of the pylon?
Half the distance to the goal, replay the try.
You know what I mean? Up and over the top. It's almost now, if he doesn't have a beat, quarterbacks look like they attempt to throw it short if the guy's got his head not spun around and can't see it. The receiver can draw that PI call.
So again, 5 formation, fullback and first off, play action, wide open man. Wes Saxton. He's only been with the team a week. Tight end that was signed to help fill out the camp roster, and Wes Saxton catches that 2-point conversion.
Well, the tight ends and the fullbacks, big right here, because watch the blitz pickup too before Saxton goes up and gets it. Not sure if that was McNichols back there, running back, but somebody just chopped down the blitzer big time and allowed Nicky Mullins to lob that one up.
Well, Nick Mullins getting a lot of love there. And then you talk about the training camp stories. Wes Saxton, who caught that pass, just brought into camp, a week or maybe 10 days ago. 5th NFL team. He's played 1 game in the league. That's what training camp often comes down to.
Yeah, and the beauty is a lot of these guys are going to be up against it in terms of the numbers, but you always got to think there's 31 other teams out there, and you're on full audition every time you take the field. I'm just pumped for Mullins. You see him do his Cam Newton right there, just show the S on his chest. 11 of 13,
nice
a $129, a TD and an interception, and the interception was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
So that's a statement about a lot of things for Nick Mullins tonight, including I don't want to play free safety and scout defense anymore, okay?
You know what? You look at him, and I mean, you'd see him in the supermarket. You wouldn't think he was an NFL quarterback. And I asked him, I said, you watch these guys, man, do you really think you can do it? He goes, heck yeah, I think I can do it. I mean, and obviously so.
Right. We should also reference, with 18 seconds to go, the fourth quarterback in the 49er camp this year. Not getting in the game tonight. It's a nice story. Jack Hennigan.
Is that your neighbor out there?
He's my neighbor. Jack grew up here in the Peninsula. His dad worked for the 49ers for quite a while. Lyle Hennigan. Jack played at Menlo School on the Peninsula, then at Dartmouth. A very fine coach there in Buddy Tevens. And so Jack is in. He's going through camp. There he is, number 6. All right, here we go for the Cowboys with 18 seconds and 2 timeouts.
Great situation again, very little time, but Saleh wants to know if this defense has it in him to close the door.
Mike White hits a ball to the 35-yard line, and the Cowboys immediately take a timeout.
Second charge timeout. Dallas, this is a 30-second timeout.
We got different corners out there now. You got McFadden, Tarvaris McFadden out of Florida State. He's going to be playing left corner, another guy that looks like a small forward or a 3-guard.
There's a guy right there, McFadden, who left college. He was at Florida State, declared for the draft after his junior year, and gets undrafted. Those are the stories you hate hearing.
You know why it wasn't as good of a year? You go to he had 8 interceptions sophomore year, did not play nearly as well.
But he's an undrafted player, so he's got to earn it. And he's 6'2", 205. That's that body type, Tim.
Absolutely. And here's Moore over here. His 3rd-round pick, who's trying to make the move to corner.
One timeout for the Cowboys. And Mike White stands in and whips one, and that is caught near midfield. And they did get out of bounds at the 50-yard line. That's a heck of a catch.
It's a good throw by White as he got hit as he was unloading.
Yeah, so Murdoch made the catch, and he did not go out of bounds, but Dallas used its last timeout.
Off and soft coverage by Tarvarius Moore back here just in that pedal. That's just too easy. Gets there a fraction late, but you just, I know you don't want to get a penalty at the end of the game, but you got to play tighter than that.
Cale McKay made the catch there at midfield. Well, the good news is they're not field goal range. 6 seconds, no timeout. So this is likely the last play, although they could throw a quick out. They want to, the 49ers playing off at the line. And that's what they're going to try to do. And it didn't start cleanly.
Ball start. Offense, number 61. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Ball start penalty. No runoff involved there. So
well, because the clock was stopped. Running clock, and the game's over with a 10-second runoff.
Timeout as a result. No runoff, but now they're 5 yards deeper. Again, they could throw a little out pattern if they wanted to try to kick a 65-yard field goal. And White's going to do that. Knifing play, and that Moore tackle goes out of bounds, which gives them one more play. Rico Gathers made that catch.
They got high hopes for that former basketball player.
That's another one of the it's the football version of Dr. Frankenstein. He's never played football in his life. He was a basketball player at Baylor and was drafted last year by the Cowboys. Never played football. They put him on IR for the year. You can see why they want him. I mean, look.
Wonder if he ever lifted weights. Well, it looked like he did that a couple times.
It's the Antonio Gates, Jimmy Graham model.
Absolutely.
So here we go with the Hail Mary setup now for the final play of the game. Mike White steps up, avoids it, and launches one toward the end zone. And it's going to be short of the goal line, and it is picked off, in fact, by the 49ers to end the game. And that is Terrell Williams, a 6'4" safety that went up there big and comes down with the ball. And the 49ers end up winning this first preseason game, stealing with a touchdown in the final minute.
And one thing I love about tall guys back in the secondary are those Hail Marys and the chance to go up and either get it or knock it down. Much better chance with tall corners than those guys that go 5'8", 5'9", 5'10".
Well, it's a preseason game. Those are old teammates, Joe Staley and Joe Looney, meeting. And it's a preseason game, so it's all smiles at the end, but the smile's a little bit better for Kyle Shanahan. 49ers pulling out over Dallas. We'll come back to wrap it up at Levi Stadium.